Welcome back into the Rounding Third Baseball Podcast, episode 210, Overreactions to the First Week of Baseball. I'm Nick. We have Harrison. How are we doing tonight, Harrison?
Awesome. How we doing?
Pretty good. Crazy first week of baseball, and we'll get into all the news and the overreactions of the first week. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow on Instagram, Rumble, and TikTok. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find links to our affiliate sponsors, Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You click on these links, you shop for these companies with no additional cost to you. You support the podcast. So we get a nice little kickback from whatever you buy from these companies. So if you are buying or ordering anything from these companies, please use our links and help support the podcast.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We also have Rounding Third merch. So if you go on Etsy and search Rounding Third Baseball, you can also find merch. It's another great way to support us. So please do that. Wear some hoodies, some sweatshirts with our emblem and stuff on it, and support us and get our name out there even more. All right.
And maybe a tumbler or a phone case, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. I got the Rounding Third phone case. That looks pretty sweet.
That's
Love
nice.
it. Yes, love it. All right. Let's get into it. Jurickson Profar suspended 80 games for PEDs. How and why are players still using, knowing how often they test? And is this all just a money grab?
I mean, the how and why I'll never understand at this point in time how anybody is still doing this, because they test. They are very clear with what you can and can't take. There is a list of things you can and can't take. There are people you can call if you've got questions. There are exceptions for certain medications. Like, everything's in place to allow this to work. And how you still get popped is beyond me. There's no reason for it. There's no more of the I didn't know what I was taking or I wasn't sure. It's crystal clear now, and there's plenty of people that can tell you if what you're taking is fine or not. So I don't know the how. I think this was Profar. I think he was struggling with an injury. He was trying to speed up the recovery. I think he was willing to take the risk of, it'll help me out, but I might get caught, and he got caught. And it's a gamble.
I don't get it. Like you said, I think it's him trying to come back from injury. I actually heard Trevor Plouffe kind of have an interesting take on it. Was the way that he structured his 3-year, $46 million contract was he backloaded it. So it was like 12 million first year, 14 and 14 in years 2 and 3. So he's like, I'm wondering if he knew that he was going to get popped, so I'm going to, take lesser money that first year. It's an interesting theory. I don't know if that's exactly what he was thinking or that's just how the Braves structured it. But there's no excuse. They get tested weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, especially if you are battling injuries. If you're battling injuries, that's a red flag for the MLB to be like, hey, yeah, we're going to test you probably a couple times in the next month here to make sure that you're not trying to come back illegally or, faster than you should be. Right? I mean, injury reports are a thing. The league gets the injury reports. They know who's injured, who's coming back, who's close to coming back, or who just came back. There's no excuse. And for him to say, I didn't know what I took, that's baloney, man. These team nutritionists that they have now and these regimented schedules that all these guys have in the MLB, they know exactly what they're putting in their body at every second of the day. There's no, I didn't know. That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard. There's no excuse for it anymore. None.
Yeah, it's brutal. And so they actually did release what he was caught with. It was chorionic gonadotropin, which is it's actually a pregnancy fertility drug for women, but it is known to increase hormone production in men. So It is very much a hormone producer. It is a human growth hormone, generally used for women, but it is used in men to boost testosterone production. So he was basically using a human growth hormone, which makes sense. If you're healing, you don't want steroids. You want a human growth hormone. That's what ramps up production. That's what ramps up healing, and that's where you end up. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, this is a great point. It's risk versus rewards. Get it? Like he got his payday, right? He did. No one thinks they'll get caught. Like these guys do have egos, right? They're the top of the league, top of the world. They don't think they think they're untouchable. Um, yeah, and I'm with you. It's lame that they make excuses instead of just being like, "Yeah, I took it. I'm going to take the punishment for it."
yeah, and the Braves came out and said they're extremely disappointed. Obviously, not what they had in their plans. Profar went through his whole like, people know who I am. I'm not this kind of person. Blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, like you were taking something that is given to women generally, which you have no business taking, other than to produce testosterone. So there's no way like you fell on the floor and a pill fell in your mouth somehow and you swallowed it. Like those days are gone of I misremember or I don't recall or I'm not sure. He knew what he was doing, and it's absolutely to the comment. It was a risk. He got busted, and here we are. He's going to sit for 80 games. In the meantime, this opens the door for potentially Alex Verdugo to get a shot to come back up.
Yep.
This may work out great for him, and when Profar comes back, we'll see what happens. But they do. Teams need to start putting in the contract some sort of conduct detrimental to the team language, where if these guys get popped for peds, they can cut the contract up
Yep.
and be done and get out of it. Like guys like this, the Braves don't want to be stuck with a guy like this anymore. Like you need to find an out.
Yeah. And I feel bad for guys like Alex Verdugo or the young kids trying to make it to the big leagues because that's who he's cheating. He's not cheating himself. Hell, he's not even cheating us as the fans. Like, I don't really care. He's cheating the young kids that are working their asses off to try to make it to the big leagues and can't because he's there, but he's doing it, artificially. Like that's when I get kind of heated. Like it's not fair to those kids that are going there grinding and they're stuck in AAA because you got guys up there cheating and taking a roster spot.
And he had a career year last year. Was he doing stuff then too? Like is this now who he is? Because this is Profar was a guy who was just a hair above replacement level his whole career until last season when
Right.
he had the season of his life. And now he gets popped for peds immediately after that. Makes you wonder, like, what were you doing last year that built that improvement? Now, granted, you still have to hit the ball and all that stuff. You still have to make contact, but these sorts of peds are more designed to help you heal and recover faster. Energy's higher, body feels better, stronger overall. It makes you more durable. That's a big deal over a 162 game season.
Right. And this is why I'm asking, is it a money grab? Because he might have known the risk, but he got paid. He got the contract he wanted and he doesn't care. Like he's still gonna get $46 million. Yeah, he only gets what? He'll get half of the 12 million
Yep.
because it's suspended without pay. But
Yep.
okay, half of 12 million, still $6 million. I mean, it's to me, he got what he wanted out of it. So he's like, if I can get this contract, who cares if I get caught for PEDs? I got the contract and it's all guaranteed money. So to me, it is a money grab. If he took the risk probably last year, like you said, had a career year, maybe he was taking it that last year, maybe not, who knows? But finally got caught with it, but he doesn't care because he already got his payday.
Yep. Yeah, it's very true. I mean, he had a great year last year. He got the contract. Maybe last year was influenced by something. He's going to get paid. Yes, he's going to give up his 80 games worth of pay this year, but still, I mean, he's absolutely looking out for him and his contract and his financial future. And I'm sure that's a big piece of these decisions. It's I've got to get on the field. I got to perform. I got to get paid.
Yeah. Crazy. Just no excuse for it anymore at this point. It's sad. I hate it. So
Yep. And actually, the Braves did actually acquire Stuart Fairchild from the Reds to take Profire's spot on the 40-man roster. So Verdugo is they're saying he's not quite ready yet, but they do believe they will eventually turn to him once he's got enough at bats under his belt in the minors to call him up.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. But all right, let's
But
move on from that.
well, and just speaking of terrible timing, this is a team that has gotten off to the one of their worst
Oh
starts
yeah,
ever,
yeah,
and now you've lost this guy till June.
yeah. I mean, they're up on the Dodgers at the moment, although the Dodgers still aren't out of the game. That's for sure.
They're never out.
No, they were up 5-0 last time we checked, but or 5-2. The Dodgers had just started
Yes,
coming back, but
still 5-2, bottom three.
yeah, yeah. Oh, plenty of game left for the Braves.
Lots of game left.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to all the extensions that happened here.
Yeah.
So Garrett
It was
Crochet.
a good week to get paid.
Yes, it was. Extended for 6 years, 170 million. Is this a good deal or a big risk for the Red Sox?
This is a huge risk for the Red Sox, but potentially a great deal.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on how it plays out. I mean, this is a guy who's got, was it 33 career starts under his belt, and you're paying him like an ace. Because he's shown you he can be an ace, but he's
Eight
also
in,
got a
8 innings of scoreless ball tonight against the Orioles. That
yeah.
he
And the
looked
Orioles,
lights out.
that's one of the better lineups you're going to see all season. So, I mean, he's got ace stuff. He's been an ace for 1 year. He's got a kind of a checkered injury past that you're not sure when that's going to rear its ugly head again. But from what you've seen, he is absolutely your guy. So, is it a huge risk? Yeah, he could easily get hurt again. He could easily fall off. He's not a proven starter. However, if you can tie him up for 30 million bucks or less per year for the next 6 years and he pitches like he has the first couple of starts, this is a great deal for the Red Sox.
Yeah, 100%. I'm all for this. We have sat here as Red Sox fans for years, especially the last 5 or 6, saying like, why aren't you paying talent? Ever since Mookie left, we're like, what? Why aren't you emptying the bank for him? Like, why aren't we paying for free agents? Why aren't we extending these guys? Why are we letting them walk for free? This tells me that the Red Sox are finally on board with building a contender. So I am all for this. Is it a risk? Yeah, I'm with you. It's a risk for sure. I mean, injury past, all of that. But if he goes out and pitches like he did today, whew, man, oh man, we are in for a treat.
Yeah, as a Red Sox fan, I'm just excited the fact they've done something.
Yeah,
you've finally done something awesome.
Yep, agree. And Red Sox also extend Christian Campbell, 8 years, $60 million extension. Is this a steal for the Sox, or is it too early to tell?
I mean, you've seen the kid for 5 games. He was drafted in 2023, so there's just not you don't know much about him yet, but what you've seen, he's fantastic. And 8 years, 60 million. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue. Was that $7.5 million a year?
Yeah,
that is for the next couple of years. That's going to be more money than actually next 4 years. It's more money you have to pay. The 4 years after that's going to be a steal because I think this kid is going to be good.
Yeah, he had a great start to the season, and it's scary that he could possibly even get better. He's done a lot for the Sox to keep them in games already. Looks like the moment's not too big for him.
No, he's settled right in. He settled right in. He's playing well. I just there's nothing right now that I don't like about this kid. Makeup, energy, everything. He's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, and if he doesn't work out, like 60 million over 8 years, like you said, like isn't a ton of money. Like it can easily just be absorbed or traded away.
I mean, they spent more than that on Rusney Castillo, and most Red Sox fans are like, who?
Yankees Volpe just hit another 3-run homer in the bottom of the ninth. It's 4-3 Diamondbacks right now with 1 out.
Ooh.
Crazy.
I actually flipped past that game thinking, it's over.
Yeah.
That's what I get for thinking that.
So Volpe's got 4 bombs already on the year.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah.
4 bombs in 5 games. Yeah. Look out, Barry Bonds. Here comes Anthony Volpe.
Right. All right. Jackson Merrill, 9 years, $135 million extension. absolute steal for the Padres here to lock this guy up for 9 years.
I mean,
I
this when you sent me the message they signed him, I looked up the extension. I'm like, that is like the biggest no-brainer ever. And honestly, I mean, as much crap as we gave the Padres this offseason for not doing a lot, here they are 7-0,
yeah.
rolling through teams, just rolling them up. And Jackson Merrill hit a home run the other night. I mean, he's a monster. That's the kind of guy you build around for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a steal. This is an absolute steal. This is not a ton of money. 9 years, 135 million. Yep.
Yep.
Sign me up. So it's an absolute
Yeah,
win for the Padres here.
yeah. I mean, that's what is that? 15 million bucks a season. I mean, that's
Yeah.
for the next 4 years where you could be paying him nothing. It's expensive, but the 5 years after that, it's gonna be the deal of the century.
Absolutely. This kid's going to be perennial all-star. Could be MVP candidate. He's going to be in the top of the league for sure.
Yeah, the torpedo bats and the torpedo bat is continuing to get a lot of attention, and probably for a
Yes.
lot of the wrong reasons. However, it's hard to argue that when a guy like Anthony Volpe's got 4 home runs in 5 games, and he's not known to be a power hitter, it makes people ask questions. And at the same time, you had the Marlins just ordered torpedo bats for the whole team. You've got, I think the A's are ordering torpedo bats. You've got other teams that are like, okay, how do we get in on this? Like, let's get some torpedo bats. At the end of the day, you still got to hit the ball. The
Yeah.
torpedo bat is definitely helping guys get more wood when they make contact, but still got to hit it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the torpedo bat is causing, what they're seeing we're not seeing higher exit velos, we're not seeing longer carry. You're just giving guys a more robust bat where they make contact.
Yeah.
It's not changing the advanced stats yet. So I don't know how to feel about the torpedo bat, but I do think it's getting a lot of attention it probably doesn't deserve.
Yeah. I'm with you. Hang on to this thought because we will bring up Ruiz.
Yeah.
He's coming up.
Back.
Hang on to this thought, sports recap. We are getting to him. All right. Another extension. My favorite player going right now. I love this kid. 6 years, 166.5 million extension. Another absolute steal and great for the Diamondbacks. This guy is the heart and soul of your team. And the Diamondbacks are gonna continue to build around him. And the Diamondbacks are good. Have they had kind of an up and down start? Yeah, you split with the Cubs. You've gone into Yankee Stadium. You just won 4-3, so that game's over. You've won the first 2 there. The Diamondbacks are good, and Marte is a huge reason why. Sure, 4 home runs by Suarez is great. Gurriel went deep again tonight. That helps. But I love this deal for the Diamondbacks. Don't let this guy go.
I mean, they overpaid. That's way too much money for Ketel Marte. He's only like an MVP candidate, rock star second baseman, does everything. I mean, that's a wicked overpay.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I mean, you're getting Ketel Marte for $27.5 million a year.
Yeah, steal.
I mean, that's a fantastic. You're paying Xander Bogaerts almost that much money to suck.
Yeah.
If you're the Padres, that's a great deal.
Yeah, Captain, I'm with you here for sure. I love seeing the teams lock up good young players. And Jackson Merrill, no brainer, right? Christian Campbell might be a no brainer, right? I mean, it's what we said, $7.5 million a year. Like that's a no brainer right now. 7.5
short money.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's great to see that they're going more towards that than they are trying to land the huge free agent. Like, yeah, you have teams that are still going to do that. I get it. But lower market teams are going to have a better chance of signing their young guys long term like that, like the Royals with Bobby Witt. Like, yeah, it was a ton of money, but you also locked them up for 15 years. So, like, that's, yeah, I mean, it's great. John, this hat is the Brooklyn Cyclones hat. So we had David Griffin on. He pitched for the Syracuse Mets and the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. We had him on like when we first started the podcast. Yeah. So I always got hats of some of the guests that we had on. So that's what this one is. It's Brooklyn Cyclones. It's a single A in for the Mets. So that's why I got this one. But yeah,
This is a good point in the chat. The torpedo bats are like when MLB changed the ball, we saw the same hand wringing.
yeah,
It's absolutely true.
yeah,
Every time there's a change made, whether the ball changes, we heard it, we've seen it with bats, we've seen it with the axe handle bats, and Mookie brought those around. Like, there's always this sense of like trying to find a reason to not like it or point out why it's a problem, or just the fact the Yankees have gotten off to a crazy hot start, they want to point at the bats. Maybe the bats don't make any difference at all. We just don't know. They're relatively new. They were used last year. They're not brand new to baseball. But I think you're right, Michael. This is absolutely like people are trying to figure out why the Yankees are off to a great start. Well, it's got to be the bats. Well, they're not the only ones using them. There's other guys using the bats who,
right.
are also are not having great starts to the season. I again, like Pat Murphy said, it's not the wand, it's the magician. The wand helps, but you got to be a good magician to use the wand.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like Anthony Volpe's 4 home runs have traveled a combined 376 feet. Like, I mean, right? I mean, 3 of them have gone to right field and barely got into the first row. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
John, this has got to hurt as a Mariners fan, John.
Yeah, this one definitely hurts for sure. But
Padres 7-0, they just keep rolling through people.
Yeah, and we weren't, I'll be the first to admit, like we weren't really high on the Padres. Kind of going in because we just didn't know. We were like, they could be one bounce away from being wretched. They could be one good bounce away from being very good. And right now they're playing incredible baseball. So the Padres have always been fun to watch. And I watch because of Don Orsillo, the Red Sox fans. You go into
I love watching Donnie.
We love O.
I miss him.
But yeah, Jackson Merrill's an absolute stud. He's gonna help carry that Padres for sure. They're gonna be a good team to watch.
Well, and you look at it now, the Padres, they have Machado locked up, Tatis locked up, Merrill locked up, Xander locked up. You've got kind of your 4 core guys all together for like at least the next 9 years.
Yeah. So it's gonna be great to see what they do. And that NL West, those top 3 teams, I think are gonna battle. It's going to be fun to watch those 3 go at it.
Yeah, we said during the prediction show that one of the best races in baseball might be second place in the NL West. Watching the D-backs and Padres go at it.
Yeah, agree. All right. Carson Kelly against the Oakland A's completes the cycle with a triple Monday night and an absolute 18-3 shellacking of the A's. He went 4 for 4 with 2 walks on the night. We'll get back to the Sacramento Stadium in a few minutes. We're going to bring that back up in our overreactions. But this is cool. We got our first cycle of the year, and it's by a catcher. So absolutely amazing. And good for Carson Kelly. He's kind of bounced around the last few years. Good for him to find a spot, land, actually get some playing time, and perform. So
5-3 Dodgers. Conforto just went yard.
Oh, nice.
They're never out of a game.
No. So
that Sacramento ballpark, those games have been fun to watch because it's been, I mean, granted, the A's have been wretched in this series and they've fallen back to normal. But the ball just flies there.
Yeah. We'll get to it in a few. Hold on. Just hang on.
So Jose Iglesias. So
yeah, that was hilarious.
When he tripped on the single and then popped himself back up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, Jose Iglesias, he's a character.
Yeah. All right, Colton Cowser out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured thumb. Does this really matter for the Orioles, or will they continue to thump without him?
I mean, they'll continue to thump without him. I think it's a loss. I think he is such an important piece of that team. Definitely a loss. You won't replace his production necessarily, but I think that if there's very few teams in baseball that can afford to lose a bat like that, and the Orioles are just so happen to be one of them. Like, they will carry on. They will be fine. It is definitely a loss. It is production they won't have, but they will still score.
And they're supposed to get Gunnar back here pretty soon, I think. So
yeah, Gunnar launched a home run today in the minors that I think still hasn't landed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's coming back soon. That's another shot in the arm to that team. I mean, the one thing the Orioles are going to do is hit. You got to take them all out to get them to stop scoring runs.
Yep, agree fully. All right. Dustin May strikes out the side in his return to the mound after 600 plus. That's supposed to be a day absence, not game. But I love stories like this. Guys that have faced a ton of adversity. Yeah, it's for the Dodgers. I get it. But
Yeah, who
it's
cares? Moving on.
right. But I love stories about guys that have faced a ton of adversity, whether it's injury, whether it's cancer with Liam Hendricks and John Lester and um, Trey Mancini. Like those stories are incredible. Like just resilience, facing adversity, and being able to come back um, and pitch, and then pitch well. Just what the Dodgers need is another guy that comes in and mows everybody down. So good for Dustin May. I like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, great story. I mean, and his stuff is good. I mean, he is so good.
Yeah. So
Just yet another arm for the Dodgers to send out there whenever they need.
yep. Crazy. Yeah, I'm with you, man. We've sat here the last couple of weeks trying to figure out exactly what their win total is going to be. But again, we'll reach that. We're going to go over our overreactions here. In a little bit, you'll see. We'll talk about it in depth more. But
Yeah, and I think
right?
a lot of people have forgotten about both Dustin May and Gonsolin. Gonsolin is, had a fantastic start and then was also out.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the IL from last year for the Dodgers, and they had a bunch of people on it that were super productive the year before that they had lost due to major injury. That when they all come back this year, it's going to be insane. What did he do with them all?
Yeah.
John, the strikeout cycle. That's
Yeah.
I've watched so many of the Mariners innings so far this year, and I'm not a Mariners fan, and if I had a dog, I'd kick it. Like I have such a hard time watching that team. They are so terrible at the plate.
Yeah, I texted you last night and I go, "Oh, hey, don't look now. The Mariners have one hit through this first 6 innings." It's brutal. But all right, here it is. Esteury Ruiz. I think Esteury. I still don't know how to say his name.
I always butcher it.
Yeah, Esteury Ruiz. Great. Now the Dodgers have an off the bench automatic stolen base option. For a minor league pitcher. I mean, goodness gracious.
So Nick originally goes, "Oh, they trade for a bag of balls." And we go, "Yeah, they could use the balls where they're flying out of Sacramento."
Crazy.
But yeah, here's a guy who led the AL in stolen bases in what, 23?
Yeah,
and
it's
then
70 or 72,
yeah,
something
he
like
led
that.
the American League in stolen bases in 23. Something happened that spring of 24. I remember they demoted him. That whole that bar situation with the guys wearing the armbands. He got sent down. Then he was in the doghouse, and he never really came back and got used. And when he's been back, they've barely used him. But now, I mean, why not? Just ship him to the Dodgers for basically nothing. Let him be a pinch running weapon off the bench, and let's just keep arming up the Dodgers more.
Yeah, crazy. He gets on first base at stolen base, but yeah,
he's stupid fast.
Yeah, this is Dave Trevecchi's whole entire comeback book. I've read it. It's absolutely incredible. It's sad. It's incredible. It's sad again. It's all of it. But yeah, we always, no matter what team we root for, it's always great to see a guy come back. I mean, as we said, we're Red Sox fans, but seeing Trey Mancini come back the way he did after the colon cancer was absolutely incredible. We love that aspect of baseball, like guys that overcome adversity and succeed.
As painful as it was as a Red Sox fan, watching Chris Sale come back last year after basically 4 years off, was great. I mean, it hurt, but it was great because you know how good he is, and we've always been firm believers that baseball is better when the best players are playing.
Yes,
whether they're on our team or not. Like I don't turn on the game to watch, the other guys. I turn on the game to watch the Chris Sales of the world because I want to see the highest level of baseball. And when the best players are playing, the game is better.
Yep, agree. Yeah, this is a good point too. Like he's definitely not going to get much playing time out there in LA. And
you got 50 guys for 26 spots.
Yeah, he's just going to come off the bench and steal bases. That's all I think that they're going to do with him. I mean, he might spot start here and there, but his on base percentage and stuff wasn't that good either, right? That's why
No, I
he
mean,
was like sent down and with all
I
that
mean,
on the field, off the field issue stuff with that
yeah,
bar.
the armbands, what is it, the last dive or last chance? What do they call that
Yeah, it
bar?
was something like that.
That whole thing like blew up last year with players wearing the bands, but I mean, I agree with John. If he could figure it out, I mean, he'd be Ricky Henderson 2.0. The guy he gets
Yeah.
such a good jump. He's so fast.
Yeah.
He would be a tough guy to shut down.
Yeah. Absolutely. Lance Lynn retires from MLB. So career stats 143 and 99 win loss record, 3.74 ERA, 2015 Ks, 1.27 whip, which really isn't too shabby.
No, I mean that's
considering
not that
his last couple years, he got absolutely torched.
Yeah, he's probably a sub 1-2 if you take his last 2 years out.
Yeah. And then 2006 and 1/3 innings pitched. I mean, a nice career for Lance Lynn.
Yeah,
Honestly,
he pitched in some big games for the Cardinals, and he did a lot of good there. And my favorite one is when he took the ball off the head.
Yeah,
he
so
kept
good.
playing, and then afterwards they're like, "Are you okay?" And he goes like, "Well, hit the hat." They're like, "Yeah, but the hat's not a protective thing." He goes, "Yeah, this is why we wear it." They're like, "No, it's a helmet. A hat doesn't protect you." He's like, "Oh yeah." Completely oblivious to the fact that he was wearing a hat, not a helmet, and he thought that was going to save him.
Yeah, one of the best interviews ever.
He is a riot.
But yeah, I mean, really great. Yeah.
He is now.
I mean, yeah, he will be now. But yeah, a great career for Lance Lynn. It was good to see him pitch. He pitched down the stretch for the Dodgers there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't that good, but still pitched in some pretty big games. So yeah, I mean, he was a middle of the road guy with flashes of brilliance. Like I agree with you here, Captain, for sure. But
more than anything, like he was a guy that was well liked across the league, well respected. He was a gamer. He played through everything, and he was quite the character. Like he was just entertaining as hell. And this is the guy who won 18 games once. He won 16 games once, 15 games twice, and then had a lot of like mediocre seasons in between that.
Yeah. I mean, 2015 Ks isn't shabby. Like that's a pretty damn good career.
Yeah.
And 2000 innings pitch is nothing to sneeze at either. So, yeah, definitely had a good career for sure. We're with you, and a good 2-3 year stretch in there. Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Lance Lynn is he was a 9K per 9 inning guy. He also gave up 3 walks per 9 and a home run per 9. Like when he got hit hard.
Yes.
And there's usually guys on base because he put them there. But yeah, again, a guy like Nick said, that's a pretty solid career for a guy. And he had some great moments. And I thought he was entertaining as hell to watch. So I appreciated Lance Lynn.
Absolutely. All right. Early overreactions to the first week of the MLB season. So,
right, Nick. This slide right here, this presentation is completely misleading because we do always overreact because we're Red Sox fans, and we don't tell people about it. We tell everybody about it.
Okay, well, whatever. It is for
false advertising,
right? But for the audio listeners here, I have the most interesting man in the world, and it says, "I don't always overreact, but when I do, I tell people about it." But yeah, so I'm going to throw out some things, Harrison. We're going to react to them. Everybody in the chat can also join.
John's first one in. All right, we're going to tackle John's overreaction.
All right, John's overreaction says the Mariners are the best hitting team in baseball.
Clearly, you're blind, John. if you're walking away with that, that would be a false reaction, not an overreaction.
Yeah, that's yeah. He's still replaying the 96 Mariners there in his head, or 98 Mariners.
Oof.
Yeah, there it is.
Those are fighting words.
Yeah.
My Mariners, well, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he knows it, Michael. Don't worry about it. He's trolling his own team at this point, so he knows.
Yeah, John is the ultimate troll of his own team. We appreciate him.
Yeah.
All right. Now, John, if they could just give Jamie Moyer a bat, they'd be all set.
1000%. I'm all for it.
Do it.
All right. Here is the first one, Harrison. The Marlins are a legit playoff contender.
I mean, they battled the Mets. They lost today in extra innings, but they absolutely battled the Mets the whole series. They took 3 out of 4 from the Pirates with 3 walk-offs. I mean, they are they're fun as hell to watch. It's a bunch of guys you don't even know
Yep.
that are playing hard, that are playing good baseball, that that very much have the feeling of like, we know we're not supposed to be good, we just don't care.
Right.
We're just gonna come and ball out. And they have. So are they a legit playoff contender? No, but they are gonna be pesky as hell all year long. And I do believe there's going to be a team that misses the playoffs because the Marlins screw them up.
Yeah. I drew the comparison to them like the Czech Republic team and the WBC. Like, who the hell are these guys? Why are they playing here? And who do they think they are? Like, you turn on that Marlins game and I recognize two names, and the one name I do recognize, it's not even his dad, right? Griffin Conine. I'm like, oh, I know the name Conine. Oh, that's not the same Conine.
No,
And
but
then you got
the
Sandy
world is better
Alcantara.
with a Conine on the Marlins roster.
Absolutely. Otto Lopez is great. Their outfield, honestly, they got some three guys that can play some defense. It is, I can't tell you who their
They
names are.
fly.
They fly. They have cannons. Like, they're pretty good out there, but they have been fun to watch. I've tuned in quite a bit to Marlins game,
Yeah.
and they've been fun.
I mean,
And
I watched a good chunk of that Mets Marlins series, and it was so fun to watch. And the Mets look completely lost out there for some of those games. Like yesterday when they lost, they had gone like 5 innings without having a runner on base. Like
yeah,
nothing. They could get nothing going against the Marlins. In the meantime, the Marlins are making catches in the gap, up against the wall, diving catches in the infield. Like, holy cow!
yeah. If
Oh yeah,
Miami screws Philly, I'll be happy. If they screw the Mets, it's like watching the Jets. I mean,
so true.
yeah, that's a great line there.
That is so
Um,
true.
yeah, and I mean, I know it's only been 2 starts, but Alcantara looks like he is back.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was in total control against the Mets the other day. He was throwing sinkers and he was rolling up so many. I think he had like 9 ground ball outs. He only had 4 strikeouts. His velocity was down a tick. A lot of that was because he was working on placement, not velocity, but he just kept getting the roll balls over, and it
Yeah,
was just easy, just smooth, just tossing them in and getting soft contact.
yeah, absolutely. All right,
It was
next.
fun.
It was next one.
Real life major league, even in Miami, they don't know these guys' names. You
Right.
are 100. So watching that Mets game, it was probably 3/4 Mets fans in that ballpark. It was so loud when the Mets were trying to rally.
Yeah.
It was so loud, and the
Yeah.
Marlins fans were trying to make some noise, but they could not. They were getting absolutely drowned out by Mets fans.
Yeah. All right. This one hurts as a Reds fan,
Yeah.
Red Sox fan, but Rafael Devers is the new Chris Davis.
Damn, that one does hurt. No, I think Rafael Devers is in a Chris Davis phase, but I don't think he's Chris Davis. Thank God he got a hit today. I think Rafi Devers is in his head and out of shape, and those are things that you can get over. Chris Davis, I think, just lost it, and I don't know how to explain that, but I don't think you'll see Rafi Devers in a long-term slump like this. I do think April's going to suck for him, but I do see there are signs that he's starting to come around. But no, not Chris Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. Pressing is the
Oh,
understatement of the like, I don't know why they have thrown this guy an off speed pitch at all. He cannot catch up to the fastball right now. And the one hit he did get today was on a slider. Like, why are you
a
throwing
hanger.
this guy? Why are you throwing this guy an off speed pitch? He can't catch up to the fastball. I don't get it. Not right now. He can't.
No.
And I'm with you, Captain. I hope not either. Rafael Devers, when he is right, he is one of the best hitters in the league. Like, you can throw a ball at his shoe tops and he still hits it 450 feet.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think just we've talked about it before. I hate kind of kicking the dead horse here, but the whole I'm a third baseman, they're not going to take me off. to the fans reacting to that, and then him being like, oh crap, maybe I didn't play this correctly, to then being like, oh, I'll do whatever it takes for the team to win. Like, he's still in his head. It's all mental for me. And you're right. He, even in this picture, he's bigger now than he was in this picture.
Yeah.
He is clearly out of shape. So I don't know. I hope he finds it and he turns around and gets that lineup rolling, because we need something to spark at the top of that lineup for sure.
Yeah, they need him. And granted, in Devers' defense, we knew his production was going to go down this year the minute Garrett Cole got hurt. Because the minute Garrett Cole got hurt, there goes like 5 home runs and 15 RBIs right off the top.
Right.
He's got to find those somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next overreaction, Harrison. Eugenio Suarez will win NL MVP.
If you voted today, yes. The answer is yes. I'm not going to say he's going to win the NL MVP, but I think he's going to be there in the voting, and when it's all said and done. This guy had a crazy good second half last year, and he is just continuing it. And he is a big thumping presence in that lineup. And him hitting like this is huge for the Diamondbacks. But
Yeah.
I think that he is the guy, or I should say he is a guy who could continue this kind of barrage. And I think he will. And I think when you look up at the end of the season, he's going to have put up a monster season and will be in consideration.
Yeah, the thing with Suarez is he will go 2 weeks where he hits 20 home runs.
Yep.
And then, like John says, you'll go 3 weeks with him striking out 4 times a game. So if you have him on fantasy and he's hot, it's almost time to sell him, because he's going to go on a strikeout run here.
I know, but thank goodness the Mariners got rid of this guy.
Right.
Get those strikeouts out of the lineup.
Yeah, and I'm with you here, Captain. Yeah,
Totally.
He's always been streaky. But when he is hot, man, you can't get anything by him. You can't hang anything to him. He will deposit it in a hurry.
Yeah, he is scary good when he's hot.
And he's been probably just short of 2 more home runs. He's hit like 2 or 3 balls to the warning track too. Like,
yeah, he followed up his second home run of the season with his next at bat. He put a ball right to the wall. Like the guy caught it with his back against the wall.
Yeah.
It was a rocket.
Yeah, I agree with you. Will he win NL MVP? No. But I hope he stays hot. Like I said, I love the Diamondbacks. And I hope he continues to just thump, because it's fun watching him hit when he is on. He just mashes everything.
He does, and he's yet another weapon in that lineup.
Yep. All right. Next overreaction. Mike Trout is done. Now, I put this slide together before he homered to dead center today, but Mike Trout is done.
Well, and he flew out last night, like right to the warning track in the same spot. So I mean, he's coming around. Is Mike Trout done? No, but I think, as we've said, the Mike Trout of old is dead. You're getting late career, 75% Mike Trout, because he cannot go 100 miles an hour anymore. He cannot go full out. He has to back it down. He needs more rest. He has to play a little more strategic versus just full throttle. So I think that the Mike Trout we're used to is done. That guy's gone. I think what you're getting now is you're getting late career conservative Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Which is probably still really friggin' good.
Yeah. I'm with you, Michael. Like, no, hell no. On a decline, but not done. Yeah, I mean, with the Angels, I mean, possibly we could see him move. I mean, there might be a team that, offers something at the deadline. The Phillies. We've always thrown the Phillies out there. Like, he's a huge Philly fan. Maybe the Phillies will be in the market for an outfielder at the deadline. Who knows? It's
a lot of money for a reduced production player, though. That's the hard part.
But it depends. It's still early. 75% of Mike Trout is still better than 75% of the league.
Oh yeah.
This is an overreaction. I don't think he's quite done, but like you said, not the Mike Trout that we're used to seeing when he's healthy.
Yeah, Mike Trout was the greatest player of all time. until the injury started, and then he went right off the tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, he was going to be on the Mount Rushmore of baseball. The way he was tracking.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, he's needed a change for a while. I agree. Absolutely agree.
So
DH only.
here's
The
the hard
ounce.
part. Here's the hard part. Like, we think Mike Trout needs a change, but Mike Trout never wanted the change.
Right.
He's always been very content in Anaheim. It's where he's comfortable. It's what he knows. And when talk of going somewhere else has ever come up, he's been very quick to say, "No, thanks. I'm not interested. This is where I made my commitment here. I'm staying here." So I think as much as we all think, yes, he'd be better in a better lineup. He'd be better around better players. He'd be better if he was winning. I don't think Mike Trout feels that way. I don't think Mike Trout is all that worried about that. He's just doing his thing in Anaheim, and he's perfectly content, which does make me wonder, what type of competitor is happy to just continue to go out there and get your head kicked in every year.
Yeah, I think it's for him. Like he's a well-known family guy. Like he loves being home with his family, and being in Anaheim allows him to do that and keep his family settled and not have to move from place to place. Michael, I'm with you. He's Hall of Fame worthy for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
the best player of our generation. I hands down. I don't. I mean, yes, there's a couple others. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just a shame that injuries have taken the toll that it has, because I'm with you, Harrison. He could have been top 5 baseball player of all time, and still might be at his peak. I mean, the tools that he brought to the ballpark day in and day out were just incredible to watch. It's just a shame that it's been in Anaheim.
I mean, this is a guy that was he had 45 WAR in a 5-season stretch.
Yeah,
from
it's
2012
wild.
to 2016. Might be one of the greatest 5-year stretches in baseball history. He was absolutely on his way to being on the Mount Rushmore of baseball, and now he's not. But yeah, I agree with Michael. He's still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
When all is said and done, we're still gonna look back and go, "Man, that was a great career." But what's disappointing is we're all gonna ask, "What could it have been?"
Yeah. This is a great comparison.
Yeah.
Felix Hernandez in Seattle is Mike Trout in Anaheim. Yeah, I mean, Felix is one of the best pitchers of our generation too. That dude was a stud. And just kind of lost there in Seattle because they never won.
But he never wanted to leave either, is the hard part. Like he was very content being there. And I think as fans, like, we want to see these guys go win and put on rings and all that stuff. But some of these guys, they've got lives off the ballpark. They've got a fan base that they like. They're comfortable in a market.
Yeah.
And they're almost more performers than they are competitors, and they're okay with that.
Yep.
Which to me is foreign, but to some of these guys, it's quality of life over rings.
Yeah. And when you're collecting $400 million from that organization, I mean, why? Why would you have to go somewhere else? Like,
Yeah,
these
you're
guys
living
are
in Southern
paying me.
California with your family, making a boatload of money playing baseball. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so I don't have any rings, but okay, whatever.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Next overreaction. Nathan Eovaldi will win AL Cy Young.
I mean, Eovaldi threw a shutout yesterday. Leiter came right back today. I mean, they haven't given up a run in 18 innings. Eovaldi right now has had the best start of the season of anybody. He has been as nasty as they get, but that's who he is. He will go, similar to like Suarez. He'll go a month, maybe a month and a half, and be the best guy in baseball, and then suck for a month, and then he'll come back and be the best guy in baseball for 3 weeks, and then have 2 terrible starts.
Yeah.
Evaldi's just never been able to be consistent. If he pitches like this all year, absolutely, he's the Cy Young winner. It's not even close. But Evaldi's proven over the length of his career he can't keep this up. But when he's good, he's one of the best there is. When he's bad, he is terrible. And to John's point, yeah, he'll probably get hurt because that's what the Rangers pitchers do.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. He's the absolute bulldog when he's on the mound, and he feels like no one can beat him on a given night. And right now, no one can. No one can touch him. Will he win AL Cy Young? He's got to dethrone Skubal, and I don't know. Skubal's got the.
Skubal's had a rough start to the season, but
yeah, he'll be fine.
He will be.
but yeah, it's arm health, it's injuries, just like we've all said, with everybody on the Rangers.
Yeah.
Um, but
Everybody in
yeah,
baseball right now.
yeah, but right now with Garrett Cole out, that just makes room for somebody else to kind of jump up there into the conversation. And Evaldi's got kind of that momentum at the moment. Yes,
Yeah.
it's week one, but do with it as you will. But
Yeah. And just to go back real quick, Michael makes a great point. Like Ernie Banks, another example of the Mike Trout comparison, Felix
mhm,
Hernandez comparison. Ernie Banks never even saw the playoffs and yet never had a bad word to say about Chicago in his time there.
right. Granted, playoff structure was a little bit different back then,
It was.
and free agency wasn't a thing. But yeah, fair point.
Yeah, never had a bad word to say about his time in Chicago, even though they were never that competitive.
Yeah. Next overreaction. Mariners will finish fourth in trade starting pitching.
Yes. I don't think this is an overreaction. I think this team is going to struggle. Um, I was hopeful they'd be better, and they're still going to have series against teams they can beat. But I think this is a team that is just going to continue to bump around 500 and have to make some decisions. Are they going to get serious or not? Because the reality of it is, you can't afford to keep them all. You need bats. Somebody's got to go. My guess is Castillo goes by the deadline for young hitters. You can't keep doing this to yourself or the fans, and you can't afford to keep all these guys. Somebody's got to go.
Yeah, I think the guy you lock up if you're the Mariners is Logan Gilbert. You keep him there for as long as you possibly can. You ship out Castillo and that contract, and possibly Brian Wu, because you're gonna get pretty decent prospects for Brian Wu. He's young, he shoves too, and Castillo's Castillo. So I think I think they trade them too at the deadline. I think we see the Mariners make some moves. So
I think they are going to have to make a decision finally. They're going to have to just be like, okay, we have to pick a path here. We can keep pitching and score no runs and be frustrated, or we can actually try to make a move here and do something. And Castillo's the most expensive guy, still very affordable at like 24 million bucks a year. He's the easiest guy to trade. You could easily move him out, reallocate that money to Gilbert, bring in a couple of young bats, and have a shot. But this team is going nowhere. That pitching has to be so good for this team to win, and they just can't be that good every night. They just can't.
no, they have to throw a shutout every game in order for the Mariners to win.
Just
To
can't.
have a
And
shot, chance to win, I should say.
yeah, and John's comments, they don't know the strike zone worth crap. Like I watched a bunch of the Mariners the first series of the year, and I've never seen so many guys who are going up there just hacking and flailing with no plan. It's it's miserable to watch.
Yep.
Miserable.
All right. It is. It's kind of sad because they have no joke top two rotation in baseball. I think it's them and the Phillies at the top, for starting pitching depth, and they just got nothing to back up their starting pitching, and it's sad. It sucks. All right,
Just
next
and
over.
I cannot watch Randy Rosarina pimp another home run when they're losing 3-0. He hits a solo shot in the seventh. I just can't do it. I
Yeah,
cannot watch Randy Rosarina pimp a home run when they're down 3, and that's the only run they're going to score.
yeah. All right, next overreaction. Braves will miss the playoffs.
Boy, they I don't know what to say about the Braves. Like I got the game on right now, and other than that little kind of explosion, they've done nothing since. They're trying to right now, but they are. I don't even know what to say. They're lost. They can't hit. They can't pitch. They can't run. They made really stupid base running mistakes. They've made some really costly errors. They cannot get the big hit. They can't even get guys on base sometimes. There have been games where it's a ghost town out there. I don't know if this is just early in the season, but as it stands right now, watching this team and all that star power play, it doesn't look good. I don't think the prospects are good.
Does the tone change when they get Strider and Acuna back?
Um, I mean, yeah. it certainly helps. But you can't have you can't have Harris and Riley and Olsen and Albies and Ozuna. Like you got all those guys already, and you can't manage anything.
No.
It it's crazy. It's crazy. But will they be better? Yes. Are they a sure bet to win the NL East like I thought they were? Not anymore. Um, I'm not convinced that they've got it in them, but I do think they're going to be better.
I mean, arguably they face the two best teams in the National League to start the season too. That doesn't help, right? You start off with the
No,
Padres and you start off with the Dodgers. You start on the road on the West Coast. That's not easy. It's just a tough way to start getting those two teams back-to-back series.
it's a brutal start, but
Yeah.
of the game, what are they? 0-6? Is that where we're at right now?
Yes.
They have only been they've only been competitive in like one of them. Everything else they've lost by like 3 or more runs. Like
Yeah.
it's
Hasn't been
hard.
close.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
And like tonight, bases loaded, 1 out. They just popped out to end the inning. They get nothing out of it. Austin Riley and Matt Olson can't drive a single run in against the Dodgers bullpen in the 6th inning. Like it's bad. Like the situation's bad.
Yep. Agree. All right. Next overreaction. Twins are the worst team in the league.
Yes, moving on.
Okay.
They're awful. I mean, they're awful. I watched them the other night and I wanted to puke. They can't run, they can't field, they can't hit. Their pitching is atrocious. And you look at them play and like I don't think anybody out there even cares. Like that was the most like lackadaisical, we don't care team I've ever seen as they're getting their heads kicked in.
Yep.
It's really bad. And Buxton is already banged up.
Correa is banged up.
Yeah, Correa is banged up. It's not going to get better for them. Are they the worst team? I mean, maybe not the worst team, but they're definitely in the conversation. It's bad. They're bad all around.
Yeah.
John cares. I mean, I'm glad John cares.
Yeah,
because nobody else does.
Yeah.
Not an overreaction.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're bad all around.
Man, and it's tough because you got the White Sox in that same division that aren't good, and we're saying that the Twins are worse than them at this moment, and it's
at least competitive for who's the worst.
Yeah, I agree with this, John. Yeah, they're getting 26 to 32 free wins a year versus Twins and Sox. Yeah.
Those are the games you got to win because they're bad.
Yeah, agree. All right, next overreaction. There.
Yeah, Central's awful. The White Sox will probably end up being the worst.
Yeah.
But the Twins are not far behind.
All right. There will be a record amount of home runs hit in Sacramento this year.
Well, if the A's pitch like they did this weekend, then yeah. Or this early week series, then yeah, there will be. Because they've been taken deep by everybody. I do think that ballpark is a launching pad. But the A's have also pitched horrendously and given up way too many home runs.
I've watched the first 2 games of that series in Sacramento. I mean, the A's are hitting them too, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not at the same clip the Cubs were. I mean, Seiya Suzuki went deep 3 times, all moonshots. Rooker went deep. Langoliers went deep. The balls are flying out of that ballpark. That ballpark plays really, really small.
It does.
I think part of it is there's no stands to block, the wind. So the wind just comes in and just kind of pushes the ball out. But that ballpark plays really, really small. I think we will see a record amount of home runs hit in that ballpark this season. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's like back in the days of your high school fields and your small college fields where like that wind would just blow through the place and there's nothing blocking it. It just goes. And I think John's right. I think that the A's are going to hit a bunch of home runs. Like the A's are already going to hit a bunch of home runs, but that ballpark, they jump.
I picked up in fantasy this year. I picked up Langoliers, I picked up Butler and Rooker because I'm like, they are going to absolutely destroy this minor league ballpark. And it's proven to be so far. I mean, Langoliers, Rooker had 40 last year in Oakland.
Yeah.
He could have 45. He could be pushing 50.
Yeah.
You have
Well,
Langoliers. He's going to hit 35.
yeah.
I
John's
mean,
got a good point in the chat though. Sacramento, you're not that when that air gets thick this summer, that ball's not going to travel like it is now. I think you're getting some early season benefit from the thinner, cooler air. But I think it's still going to travel. It's going to travel better than it ever did in Oakland.
yeah, 1,000%. No, doesn't it travel better in warm weather?
Not when the air is thick. Not when
Oh,
you've got
well,
hot, humid air.
well, I guess, but
But th-
yeah.
did you see the media shed they're using? That's like little like a Home
Um,
Depot shed they bought.
yeah, it's like a container.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like one of those sheds you buy at Home Depot and set up yourself over a weekend.
Yep, that's where all their press conferences are.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a weird move for the A's to go to Sacramento. We've been saying that since they said they were going to go there, but I get they've got to wait till they get to Vegas. I get they didn't want to stay in Oakland and the deal was up and they couldn't salvage that relationship. But this is weird. Watching them play at that, just like watching the Rays. I watched some of the Rays Rocky series where like seeing these guys play at minor league stadiums is just really weird. Just really weird.
yeah, to answer the question, what's going on with them there? I mean, they're just here for 3 years until the stadium's built, and then that's that. As soon as their stadium's ready to move in, they're gone. They're in. But it's not going to be till 2028. They're saying at this point. Who knows? It could be delayed. It could be pushed up. Maybe if it gets done early. I don't know. But 3 years of them just absolutely raking in that ballpark is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Dodgers will never lose 3 in a row this season.
True.
You say true?
True. Yep. True. I don't think anybody. I don't see anybody going into a 3-game series and sweeping them, or them dropping more than a game or 2 in a row. I don't know who out there could do it. I mean, is it likely it'll happen? Sure. Like there's a high likelihood that at some point they'll lose 3 in a row. But I don't see a path where they do, and I don't see a team that's going to come in and suddenly shock them with a sweep. I mean, they're gonna steamroll the Padres and the D-backs and the Braves and the Phillies. I mean, those teams stand no shot. The Mets, all those guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they lose 3 in a row either. Their pitching's too good. Their bullpen's too good. Even if their starter gets rocked in the second, right, and they're down by 5. I mean, look at tonight. Their bullpen comes in, shuts them down, and then just let the offense go out and do work.
Yeah, it's the pitching for me. 100% with you on that. Like tonight's a great example, like you said. Like they give up 5 runs early, bullpen comes in. The Braves have managed nothing since.
Right.
And then bases loaded, 1-out jam, and they get out of it with a strikeout and a weak pop up.
Yeah.
They will be in every game. Even if they get down early, they're going to be in every game because that bullpen will hold the other team down. And if you give an offense like this long enough, they will just chip away and chip away and chip away. Because I will say it's got host at third base. I'm not sure who sent him. With professional hitters like this, if you give them enough time, they will chip away at that lead and they will eventually take over the lead. You just have to give them time.
Yeah.
I predicted back in January they'd win 120 games. And then I was like, well, maybe not. That might be a bit aggressive. I'm back to saying, yeah, they're going to win 120 games.
120, so many ball games, but I mean, they're 6-0, 7-0. What are they?
I don't know.
Doesn't
matter.
6-0. They could be 7-0 if they come back and win tonight. But
yep.
Holy Hannah. Yeah, I don't think they lose 3 in a row. I'm with you. I don't think this is an overreaction at all. But
yeah, you cannot let a team this good. And honestly, like the lineup's been the least impressive part of the team for me. The pitching has really just blown me away what they can do. They will always be in games.
And their defense has been incredible. Like Tommy Edman the other night to keep them in that game made 2 incredible plays back to back to keep the Dodgers in to let Mookie Betts hit a 3-run homer to walk it off. And it's not just Tommy Edman every night. It's Mookie Betts the next. It's Freddie Freeman coming up with a big hit the next. It's Teoscar hitting a 3-run bomb. Like it's Will Smith having a 2-homer game. Like everybody in that lineup contributes at one point and stands out. It's not the same guy over and over and over. Everybody in that lineup comes through in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Conforto hit one off the handle and got a bloop double that started that whole comeback for the Dodgers where they won in extras.
Right.
I mean, it's a different guy every night. And when you have a team like that, you can't beat them because you just don't know who's going to beat you.
Yeah, and it's not like the Dodgers are blowing teams out. Like, they've won a number of these games coming from behind. But again, like, when you're in a game that long and you've got that many shots, eventually you're going to land one.
Here's one. Will they break the A's streak record of 26 in a row?
No, I don't think so. I don't. That one is insane. I don't think anybody will ever break that one.
That one was crazy. That was such a crazy stretch of baseball.
I still remember that Hatterberg home run that kept it going when they thought they were going to lose it at like 21.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, and Daniel, we're with you here. Dodgers are far and above, way better than any team in the MLB, and it's not
Dodgers and then everybody else way down.
Yeah,
here. Like
and even with the the sheer numbers of balls flying out of Yankee Stadium right now, the Yankees aren't even close to the Dodgers. Like, the Dodgers have the pitching, the Yankees don't. Like, that's the huge difference there. I think the Yankees could right now, could slug with the Dodgers, but they're not going to outpitch them.
No.
This team is crazy. As much as we sit and we hate everything they've done, you have to appreciate the talent that is on the field and how they play baseball every day. Like, they have likable guys on that team. Like, it's hard to hate Freddie Freeman. It's hard to hate Mookie Betts. It's just, we don't like what the Dodgers organization did to get them all there. Like, I get it.
Yep.
But I'm going to appreciate the talent and how they play baseball night in and night out, because it is incredible to watch.
I mean, the Dodgers right now are a plus 21. They've given up the fifth fewest runs in baseball. The only team with a better differential is the Padres at plus 25, because the Padres have given up 11 runs in 7 games.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah. Crazy.
I mean, the NL West right now, Dodgers 7-0, Padres 7-0, Giants 5-1, D-backs 4-2. It's that whole division has gotten off to a great start.
Yeah. Yeah. New murderers row. I mean, legit, how many Hall of Famers do they have on their team right now? Let's go. Like, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani,
Kershaw.
So you have 4 Hall of Famers on your team. Anybody else? Anybody in the bullpen? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. You got 4, like, no doubt Hall of Famers on your team.
Yep. Yeah, guys that could probably retire today and go in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. John, this is like the cheat code team. Like, this is the team you go in, like, you turn like force trades on.
Yep.
And then go build an empire.
Yeah. 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 I'm capping with you. 4 at least. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. All right. That's all I had for overreactions today. Do you have any other overreactions or anything you want to bring up? Or anybody in the chat have any overreactions that you want to drop on us? You can do that as well.
Yeah, we're going to hang out for a little while, watch some baseball, talk some baseball. So throw it at us in the chat. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Do you have anything else that's an overreaction?
So I going back to a topic from earlier, there's been a bunch of stories circulating about the torpedo bats the last day or two. There are people that are saying that the league is looking into banning them. They're trying to do a further study on them. I guess my overreaction, or I guess maybe my question is, will we see the torpedo bat at the end of the season, or is MLB going to take it out?
I don't know. To me, it's within the rules, right? Like, if they were illegal, they would have already taken them out. Like, but they are within the rules. They're within the weight, they're within the length, they're within the barrel circumference. And if you are within that, I don't think you can take them out, right?
I mean, and you've already approved them. MLB already approved them. That you don't get to just put a bat in play because you like it. You MLB has to approve any equipment change. So these bats were approved by MLB last year. They weren't even approved this year. They were approved last year. That's how
Right.
they ended up in games last year. So in my mind, the torpedo bat is here to stay, unless somebody can go look at some study and say, "Oh no, they've completely changed the trajectory of balls. The exit velos are up." Like if they can argue that like it's become a unfair advantage or dangerous, then I could see them making a play to get them out. But I think they're here for this year, and I agree with Michael. I think they're going to study the results of that bat, and they're going to study the exit velos and performances and spin rates and all the stuff they normally study to determine, is that bat creating an unfair advantage. Although I would argue with the pitchers the way they are now, you're you kind of have to give the batters unfair advantage when everybody throws 100. And I
Yeah.
and I also agree here. Like this is also we're 6 games into the season for most teams.
Right.
Like Anthony Volpe's got 4 home runs. He's had a really good week. He could also hit no home runs for the rest of the month. We just don't know. It's
Right.
too early to jump to a conclusion of the bat is changing the game, but I do think people are going to continue to talk about it so long as the Yankees keep mashing.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't help that Dansby Swanson used it when he was in Arizona and he went deep with it.
Yeah,
It is starting to pop up around the league more. I think actually Swanson used it last year a little
he did.
bit too, as well. So um, I think they're here to stay even past next year. I don't see the MLB banning them. I could almost like I wasn't alive obviously during this, but you look at the 20s and 30s, and these guys had the tree trunk handles on bats, and I'm sure when they started shrinking the handles down to a smaller diameter, that we like players and fans had the same reaction. Like, oh, well, they're cheating. They're putting more weight at the end of the bat, and now they're creating more whip with a smaller handle. Like, I'm sure that always came, but it was still within the bat regulations. So I don't know. I think it's just because it's something different, right? Baseball is such an old game that yes, we've had rule changes and stuff like that, but the fact that a bat looks like a bat, a glove looks like a glove, a ball looks like a ball. Like now that we're changing the shape of one of the three fundamental things that baseball uses, everybody's up in arms about it. I think is more of the issue than the actual bat itself, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's getting attention because of who's using it, what's happened early in the season, and it's just getting people to ask the question of like, should we have these or not? Yeah, Lindor's got it, and he's not hitting.
Yeah.
Again, like Pat Murphy said after. I mean, and Pat Murphy, the manager of the Brewers, who watched his team get absolutely shellacked by the Yankees, came out and defended the bat. Like that was his comment was, "It's not the wand, it's the magician,"
Yeah.
and he's 100% right. Like you still have to hit the ball, you still have to make contact, you still got to square it up. It's still the
Right.
hardest thing to do in sports. You could, unless you're going to send guys out there with those red bomb bats from when we were kids. Like
Right.
it's still the hardest thing to do in baseball, and they don't have any more barrel to hit with. You've just changed the shape of it.
Right. And it's still within, the max that you can have. Like it's not like they've blown up the barrel to like what we had with like 2 3/4 inch barrels when we were playing as a kid.
The
Um,
drop fives with drop
y-
sevens with the massive barrels.
yeah, like no, like they're still within the regulations, or they would have already been banned. So it's yeah,
The Annihilator.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah, absolutely crazy.
Jackson Merrill is absolutely a stud.
Yeah, we talked about him at the beginning of the show and his extension, and he is absolute blast to watch out there in San Diego for sure.
Use a broomstick. I mean, some of these guys would figure it out. They would be able to hit with a broomstick.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how good these hitters are.
yep, absolutely.
I remember as a kid, we'd get like the broomstick and cut it in half and like hit sunflower seeds with it. Like that was
Oh yeah,
throw sunflower seeds to each other, hit it with a partial broomstick.
Yep. What a waste of sunflower seeds. Nice.
You pop a few in, you hit a few. You pop a few in, you hit a few.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to, practice with tennis balls and a broomstick.
There you go.
Like just square it up. But yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't even think they're going anywhere next year, to be completely honest. They're in the regulations. The MLB is not going to change the bat regulations. They've been that way for years. I don't think they're going to change it. I think they're here to stay.
Well,
now, I could be wrong in 2 weeks, but
yeah. Well, it's not like every player is rushing to use it either. Like they asked Aaron Judge about it. He's like, nope, not my thing. I like my bat the way it is. Every player should pick out the bat that works for them. You still have very few guys overall using this bat across the league, but it's getting a ton of attention.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the Yankees put up 33 runs in 2 games, and a lot of their lineup was using it. And it was, Jazz Chisholm went deep twice. Volpe's gone deep 4 times. It's guys that don't usually have a ton of power are using it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I think that kind of put the red alert on for all the fans and stuff too. So that didn't help kind of the timing of like, oh, these look new. Oh, balls are also flying out of the ballpark.
Yeah, but then you had Goldie go yard. He's not using one. Judge went yard 3 times. He's not using one. Bellinger went yard. He's not using one. The fact of the matter is, the Brewers pitching in that series was terrible. They were pitching batting practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about Profar earlier in the show, just the 80-game suspension and how disappointing that is, but also how dumb it is for these players to get caught, especially when you're taking something that is so well known as a performance enhancing drug. It wasn't like you made a mistake and took a prescription you weren't supposed to take. Like you were taking a hormone for women to help boost your testosterone.
Yeah, there's no excuse for it.
Interesting question from John. I've not seen one break yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I would imagine you'd have to get completely sawed off or get it like right off the end. Right?
I would think so. I mean, with the end of the bat being tapered now, I would imagine anything off the end of the bat's going to hurt like hell. But B, you could probably end up just like shattering the back end of the bat. But I would imagine you're going to have to get sawed off pretty good. And when that bat head comes spinning off with that extra weight, that's going to be fun to see how far it goes.
Yeah. How long? This is coming in next. This is coming in next year, I think.
It feels like 26.
Yeah, I thought initially they were going to wait until after the CBA and then kind of put it in after. But I don't think there's any chance that this is not in the MLB in 2026. We've seen some questionable calls already this year that would have been challenged in key spots, and obviously can't. Yeah, I think this is next year. We will see this. I think for sure.
Yeah, this year was the test to get the results, to prove the concept, to bring it back next year. For sure.
Yeah, I think it's here in 2026.
And John, I take offense to this. When I'm pitching to the kids, I'm pitching better than Nestor Cortez was. I mean, come on.
Brutal. I mean, 3 pitches, 3 bombs. Yeah,
he was just piping fastballs. Like it was BP. He was throwing BP to those guys. Yeah. It wasn't even challenging them. Yeah, he's at like an 86% or below rating. By far the worst umpire in baseball. And I'm blanking on his name. It's Tim something, I want to say, but like there's like all the umpire ratings and like he's like way down below them. He is by far the worst umpire in baseball, and his accuracy rating is terrible.
Yeah. Who was it? Max Scherzer last year that wanted them to like be able to be demoted and promoted and all that stuff. Like,
yeah. So you take the bottom 10% from MLB would get demoted to AAA, and the top from minors would get promoted up.
I love that idea, except for you got the umpires union that will be like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But they have to be held accountable for sure. We're
going to find out the torpedoes are full of nuclear power or something. Or how would you cork a torpedo bat? Like, that'd be interesting. Because you wouldn't want to swing all the weight out.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I can't wait to see one. It's either going to like like snap cleanly because it's so much thicker where it's going to break, or it's going to like explode. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah. Although we've seen lately, like the breaks have been weird. It's almost like the bat breaks like completely in half the long way. Have
It
you
was one of
seen
those
those?
tonight. Yeah, one of those tonight.
Yeah, it's weird how
I
those
want to
bats are
say it was
breaking now.
Albies broke it, and it like the front half of the barrel went flying. He was holding like the handle with the back part of the barrel still on it. It
Yeah.
like shattered up and down and not across the barrel. It was weird.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of bats break that way. I don't know if it's because they're using a different type of wood or what, but
I feel like that's
um
got to be like an end of the bat thing where you hit it just hard enough, like it snaps from the off the handle, and, like peels back.
and yeah, and just peels the grain right off it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's been weird. We haven't seen like the bat go flying. It's like exploded into like all these little fragments.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the umpires have to be held accountable. There has to be some sort of repercussions. Like, yes, the umpire report cards are nice, but that's mostly for the fans to just have something to complain about officially. I mean, do they actually use the umpire report cards? Maybe when they're selecting playoff crews. Other than that, I don't know what they're using them for. Um, and I agree. I think there are guys in each crew that are way better behind the plate and terrible on the bases, and you got guys that are really good on the bases and terrible behind the plate. Maybe you do have that. Maybe you just circulate home plate umpires, you give them a higher pay rate, and you keep base umps on the bases. Maybe you do it that way. I I don't know. Um, but to me, I keep saying this. It's not the it is smoke uphill butts. You're right. A
it
thousand
totally,
percent. A
it
thousand.
totally is.
I am not like I like the ABS because of the egregious ones. I want the egregious ones fixed. The ones that are 4+ inches out of the zone. It's the ones that are borderline that I wouldn't want to see challenged. Granted, 95% of them that are borderline are going to be challenged. I get it. That's what comes with it. But don't give me a ball that's 6.5 inches off the plate, strike three to end an inning. No, that's clearly a ball. You missed it. Fix it. Or like I've said numerous times, my favorite video clip of all time last year was the Royals announcer being like, "And Raggins delivers pitch right down the middle for ball one." I mean,
It was such
like
a joke.
yeah, I mean, it was middle fastball, middle cut, ball one. Like, get that out of the game. There's no place for that. Um, the borderline calls are gonna happen. They are. It's the human element. These guys have 14 inches of lateral, vertical, horizontal, every direction break on their pitches at 89 to 95 miles an hour on the break. And then you got guys that are throwing 103 with a 13-inch tail on it. You're gonna miss some of those because you just clearly don't see it. Right?
Yeah,
That it's gonna happen.
yeah,
But if it's 8 inches out the zone, you got to fix it.
and I totally agree with John here. You know, any ump that calls ball strikes at 95% accuracy is extremely impressive because we're asking humans to do an inhuman task,
Yeah.
which is absolutely true. I mean, for as much as we talk about the umps that suck, there's probably 20% of the umpires. It's probably the typical 80-20 rule. 20% of these umpires suck. The other 80% are all pretty good. Like, do they miss a call from time to time? Yeah, we're not trying to nickel and dime a guy for 1 or 2 calls a night. But we need to get rid of the guys that are consistently missing 5, 6, 10, 15% of the calls. Like, you can't be rated 86% for accuracy and still be doing this job. Like, you can't. And
No.
we are picking on a small group of the overall pool because most of these guys are really good. And they asked Aaron Boone going into the season. Aaron Boone, you want to talk about a guy who rides umpires for balls and strikes. And even he made the comment of, I don't want ABS in the game because I think these guys do a really good job. Do they miss them? Yeah. And I remind them.
Right.
But like they don't miss that many. Like he goes, and in some cases I'm standing up for my guys. In some cases I'm just barking to make him realize I'm still here. But these guys do a really good job. We don't talk about that enough. We focus on the 2 calls they missed, not the 200 they got right.
Right. And I think one of the things that have absolutely destroyed our view on umpires is the box that we get to see on TV every
which
pitch.
isn't even accurate. It's like roughly the strike zone.
Right. So like, we're like, oh dude, how do you miss that call? And it's literally like 0.1 inch because it shows as a hollow circle on the
Yep.
screen. Like, oh dude, how did you miss that? It's like, okay, well, guess what? He doesn't have a box that he can see if the ball goes through or not. Like he has to make that box in his head and then make sure the ball lands in it. Oh, and by the way, it's coming at you at 103. I mean,
Yeah.
it is. It's an inhuman task. That was perfectly said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it. There's no way.
No, I mean,
It's
I've umpired some like high school level games, and even that, like, that's not easy
no.
because you've got to keep in mind, like, you're trying to look at a zone, you're crouched behind a catcher, their head's blocking part of your vision. You're trying to get a whole picture of the zone, as well as keep an eye on what the catcher's doing, what the batter's doing. It's it's extremely challenging, and these balls. I mean, look at Michael King's slider the other day that nobody could hit. How do you call that? Like, how do you call a pitch that moves literally a foot and a half in 60 feet? It moves a foot and a half, and you got less than 4/10 of a second to figure out where that thing ended up.
Right.
And then you got these catchers who are so damn good at framing too. That like you're relying on getting a sense of where they caught it too, and they're so good at it that now you don't even have a good idea where he caught it.
No clue.
That's such a tough job.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be
Yes.
easy to stand behind the pitcher with a box and go, "Yep, that was in it, strike."
Right.
But they
Yeah.
don't have that benefit.
No. Um. Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I'm saying, John. It's the ones that are like just egregious. Those are the ones I want out. The ones that are clearly a ball, the ones that are clearly a strike, that are called the opposite. Those need to go away. And those will go away if they have challenges left. Now think about that, right?
Yeah,
Because they got 2 challenges in the spring, and if you got 2 of them wrong, then you were done. And that's what it is in the minors. I think I think it's 3 in AAA if I'm remembering correctly. I think you get 3 wrong challenges a game. But yeah, again, back to the original question, I think ABS is here in 2026.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And thankfully, the guy who was responsible for a lot of those really horrendous calls, Angel Hernandez, retired. So a lot of those issues are going to fix themselves. Um, but if we can change gears from it, I got a good one here for Captain. So I'm not sure if you're following Portland closely, but the Senate yesterday approved $800 million worth of bonds to fund a stadium's construction as Portland. This is actually it was in Salem because it was Senate. The Senate voted for it, but there was an $800 million bond package passed to move forward with stadium construction. So they are now setting the money aside to begin building a ballpark for the hopeful award of an expansion team. So again, like we've talked about, like Orlando's way ahead of everybody. Other markets trying to catch up. Portland is like right behind Orlando in terms of getting ready. They've already got public money set aside. They're that at that cost, that's like half of a ballpark, 800 million. They are very much moving quickly to get ready to try to pull a team to Portland, and they are far ahead of a lot of these other markets who have thrown their hats in the ring.
how far along is Salt Lake City? Do you know that? Because I mean, they want to build this whole entire sports complex. So to me, it feels like they've got their money set aside as well. So this could be an interesting bidding war, I guess.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know how.
last I saw, Salt Lake has a spot reserved in their development plan for a ballpark. They do not have funding. They do not have an ownership group identified, but they
Hmm,
have a site. So I think Portland's a little bit in reverse. Portland is setting the money aside. They don't yet have a site. They have proposed sites, but they also don't have an ownership group yet. So they don't have the whole package. But at least the city and state are ready to say, yeah, we are here to support you if we can make this happen.
yeah. I I'm all for expansion, but again, I've said this the last few weeks. Get the A's and Rays in major league stadiums first, and then focus on expansion, please. I mean, it's just be weird to bring in 2 expansion teams when you got 2 other teams still looking for a home. Now, interesting though, if the Rays do end up going to Orlando, are the 2 expansion teams Salt Lake City and Portland? Do you put 2 more on the west side of the country there?
No, you can't put 2 on the West Coast because, again, like, you've gotta go where the people are, and we still have 75% of our populations on the eastern third of the country, on the east of the Mississippi. To put 2 teams out there would, I think, you'd be putting 2 teams in smaller markets. I think you're gonna want 1 on the east and 1 on the west. Could you do 2 on the west? Maybe, but you're gonna have to settle for 2 smaller markets. But at the end of the day, if they have the best package of ownership group, site, financing, and all that, maybe you have to.
Yeah.
Maybe Raleigh or Charlotte or Nashville, or they're just not that ready. I don't know. And if Orlando gets Tampa, that takes them off the option list. So I don't know. Maybe I would think that would be MLB's least favorite decision to make,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean they wouldn't.
What if you had to put a percentage on the chances of Tampa going to Orlando? What would you put it at?
I think it's a coin flip right now. I think the way it's being positioned is the Rays are prepared to stay in Tropicana for right now. Um, their ballpark deal ends in 28, so they need to make a decision here soon. But they could also just decide to extend the lease in Tampa and stay longer at the Trop. So I don't. I think that one's a 50-50. I think it comes down to, does Sternberg sell? I think it comes down to, does Sternberg stay, and does he stay on and move them somewhere else in the area? Or does Sternberg potentially partner up and move them somewhere else and just stay involved? But it's been pretty hush about what they're gonna do since then.
All right. So say the Tampa Bay Rays re-sign their lease at Tropicana for another 30 years. Is Orlando out of expansion at that point? Because then you'd have 3 teams in Florida.
No, I don't think Orlando's out, because the Orlando market it's 3 million people all by itself.
Okay. Yeah. Over. That will do
I
it.
think that you could be in Tampa and Orlando and still make it work because the markets are so big. So I would
Okay.
say if the Rays stay in Tampa, I don't think Orlando's out. I think they're less desirable than they were before, but I don't think they're out.
Yeah. All right. That's fair enough. I don't think they sign an extension. If Sternberg is still the owner of the Rays, I don't think they sign an extension on the lease there.
No, but in order to make a transition easier, they might sign a 3-year lease, and that
No,
buys them that buys them more time to get a ballpark built.
but with
The other question becomes, will St. Pete tell them to shove it?
that's what I was just gonna say.
Get out of here.
With the relationship that he has with the mayor, would the mayor be like, "Oh, you want 3 years? Yeah, no, that's not happening. Sorry, like you can get out now."
At the same time, though, it's like, what are you going to do with an empty ballpark? Like, you could have an MLB team keep paying you to use it, or you could get nothing for it while it just sits there as an eyesore. It's not like it's an open air pavilion you can do concerts in. Like
Well, it is now.
Well, it is now, but it's not designed to be that way.
Right.
It's not like you're going to do, shows and concerts and events there. Like it is very much a single use facility that won't have a use anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I think their percentage of moving is a little bit more than 50%, but that's just a hunch. I don't think it's.
John's all in 85%.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's the relationship between the Rays and the city that I'm leaning more towards. They're going to end up moving out than staying, right? Because if Sternberg, from all indications, doesn't want to sell, right? The MLB is kind of pushing him to sell. St. Pete's kind of pushing him to sell, but he doesn't have to.
No,
Right?
I mean, he owns the team. It is his to do with as he pleases. He can sell it or not. And Does he have to sell? No. Does he want to sell? He's indicated no. He doesn't want to sell. Would he consider selling? He's also said, yeah, for the right offer, he'd consider stepping aside. Because I think for him, it's not, if you're at what point is it just not worth it? Or
Yeah.
you could do what the Orioles did and sell the team in pieces. So hey Orlando, you guys can come buy half. You guys can buy 51% from me right now. You take the controlling interest, you move it to Orlando, you deal with all that headache. I'm just going to sit back, and then
Yeah,
in 5 years I'll sell you the rest. But I don't want to be out of baseball yet.
it's fair.
There's that option too.
Yeah.
The Angelos family sold this team to that investor group over like 3 years. They bought a chunk and then a chunk and then the final piece.
Yeah.
There's that option too. You can phase out, or you could just stay in. Hey, here, buy the controlling interest, and I'm just going to hang on as a minority partner and be part of baseball because that's what I want to be. But you guys can run the show in Orlando.
Yeah.
So the nice thing is, if you're Sternberg, you got plenty of options.
Right.
Nobody's forcing you to do anything, but you've got to make a decision soon because you need a ballpark.
Man, it's such a mess. Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you asked like which team would you rather own at this moment, the Rays or the A's? It's the A's hands down for me, just because they have the plan in motion. Like it's just a matter of time for the stadium to get built. They have a place that's cemented. Like, does it suck being in Sacramento for 3 years? Yeah, absolutely. But there's a plan. The Rays, you have no freaking idea what's
The
going on.
clock is ticking, and you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, man.
I mean, if I'm Sternberg, I'd probably look to sell the controlling interest, move him to Orlando, just go along for the ride.
Yeah. Goodness. Crazy. Yeah. Man. Anything else? Do you know anything else in the chat? It's weird how we keep getting on these like the expansion talk on these.
I know.
I mean, it's so interesting to talk about though. That's what, because there's just so many moving pieces in all of them. But
Yeah, so they released the final metrics earlier today on the average salaries and highest paid players and all that stuff. And MLB's average payroll or average payroll per player rose almost 4% to a little over 5 million. It's 5,160,245, up 1.5% from last year. And although down from 2023, because there was a bunch of contractual stuff that was happening at that point in time, contracts had expired. That was when all the Verlander, Scherzer contracts hit and pumped everything up. But you do have an increase, which is going to make the Players Association happy. And when all was said and done, when you factor in deferrals and all that, the highest payroll in baseball belongs to the New York Mets at 322 million, followed by the Dodgers at 319, followed by Philly at 283, the Yankees at 278, Toronto at 241. And those are your top five.
dang.
Yeah, Mets 322. If you add deferrals back, the Dodgers are over 400 million. But you know, and then your lowest payrolls, you'll love these, Nick.
These are my favorite.
So lowest payrolls are Miami at 53 million,
Duh.
the White Sox at 72.3, the Athletics at 74, the Rays at 76, Washington at 78, and then you go Pittsburgh at 87, Cleveland at 98, Milwaukee at 108, Colorado at 116, Cincy at 118, Kansas City at 126.
So the A's didn't get above 100.
For luxury tax purposes, no. Keep in mind, this is luxury tax. So any deferred money gets present valued back. So it's not the full boat of what you signed. It's just the current portion owed that's showing.
But what did they have to spend in order to get the MLBPA off their backs? Did they reach that threshold?
They were I believe they're just short of it.
So they're not going to get their full revenue share.
Well, they've hit the revenue share threshold, but they didn't get to where the Players Association wanted them to be because they were not the same number.
Gotcha.
But yeah, 5 teams under 100 million, 2 teams over 300 million. and then a bunch of teams in the middle.
Yeah. We got Phillies fan in the chat.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the whole Profar thing again. Does that make him not eligible for the playoffs? I didn't see that. If you're suspended for PEDs,
Huh. I don't know. I don't remember seeing that. I know they had talked about changing the rules to add additional punishments for PEDs. I don't remember that being in it though.
I'm looking it up right now because that's the first I've heard of it. Wow, if a player is suspended for violating a PED policy, they are ineligible for the playoffs. That's what it says right at the top.
Okay, perfect.
Wow, thanks for that. I learned something new every day. I did not. I saw it on ESPN. Wow,
Wow.
I did not. I mean,
Yeah,
it makes sense, right? I mean, they cheat. They cheat. They
Yeah,
shouldn't
and
be allowed to play in the playoffs.
MLB keeps trying to make the punishment harsher to get people to get guys to think twice about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just again no excuses at this point. They test everybody all the time. Like it's just, especially like I said, guys that are coming back from injury. You're coming back from injury, you can almost imagine their first day in the clubhouse. There's a guy standing on the other side of the door with a urine cup, being like, "Hey, bud, go pee in this." You know, like I
mean,
don't get it.
Profar got tested 8 times last year alone, which is like every 3 weeks during
Yeah,
the season. Like it's coming,
right.
and nothing cycles out of your body fast enough to beat it.
No, it's just stupid. Absolutely dumb. There's no excuse for it anymore at this point.
No.
None.
No, it's bad, really bad.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're going to see more. Right? There's going to be other guys that do it.
Always.
Because they're going to look at the contract that Profar got and they'd be like, "Oh, well, he got away with it. He just got a 3-year, $48 million deal. I want that deal. I'm going to take it. I'll take the suspension and I'll still collect the paycheck." Right?
Yep.
Money rules out. Money's going to win every time. So we will see this again for sure.
I mean, it comes down to everybody's trying to get an edge.
Yeah. Yeah, money wise or talent wise.
Yeah, it's the pitchers are better, the game moves faster. You're trying to get an edge. It's torpedo bats, it's supplements, it eventually moves into the range of PEDs. The Dodgers just tied this game in the 8th.
Of course they did.
Max Muncy just drove in 2 on a ball in the gap.
Wow.
Yeah, 5-5, bottom 8, 2 outs. Look at that, 2 out hit. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Again, you let these guys hang around. The Braves haven't scored a run since the 2nd inning. You let these guys hang around, they're eventually going to get you. And this is without Freeman. Freeman hurt himself in the shower. He's missed 3 straight games.
It's brutal.
You're getting old as a ball player when you get hurt in the shower.
Right? Yep.
That's what the old guys used to get put on the IL for.
Yeah, as soon as I hit my 35th birthday, I was like, we got to get the tub out. I'm not stepping over the tub anymore. Give me a walk-in.
John, okay, tell you who's clean. All the Mariners.
Yeah.
Yes. They are clearly there's no torpedo bats or PEDs being used in Seattle. That is for sure.
Man.
What about did you see the Ellie's 2 bombs the other night?
Yes. Tanks. Absolutely.
He's a freak of nature. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Tommy
Kike missed time. Kike missed giving them the lead by about 3 inches.
Wow. Yeah, Tommy Edman, I talked about him earlier. His defense alone, his stick, that was honestly probably the best move the Dodgers made in the offseason. Yeah, re-signing Teoscar was great.
Yeah.
But Tommy Edman has been incredible for the Dodgers this year, for sure. But tub shower, his master bath is being worked on. Gotcha. But yeah.
John, the last line I saw in Vegas had the Dodgers at 105 for win total. It had come way down.
Yeah, smashing that over. But the Dodgers could sleep through the rest of the season and win 105 games. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're gonna have to hit like a rough spot, but I just don't know when.
Yeah. Why not give extensions before the renegotiations? Like what? Which one are you
Like,
talking
you
about?
mean like the CBA renegotiations? Since the rule around the contracts might change? I'm thinking that's what we're talking about.
Oh, maybe.
'Cause I think that's a lot of owners and GMs have mentioned the fact that this is an interesting time to be negotiating contracts because you've got a CBA that expires in 20 months and you don't know what the rules are going to be after that. So if you sign contracts that are potentially larger, maybe not going to comply with what there is in the future, how are you going to handle that? But it hasn't stopped people from signing teams or players because we saw what 4 extensions today.
Yeah, and I mean pretty lengthy ones. They had what 9 years, 6 year, 2 6 years, um, and an 8 year with Campbell, or was he 9 too? He was 8, I
He
think.
was 8 years and
Yeah,
60. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, some pretty lengthy ones. Um, I think it is smart to kind of lock them up before the negotiations because you're going to be grandfathered into those, right?
yeah. And if you're going to make a change to the luxury tax or a salary cap or the payroll structure, like you're gonna have to give teams like a series of a few years to get in compliance with that. Like when the NFL went to the salary cap, they gave teams, I think it was 3 seasons to be they kind of stepped it down. Like here's
Yeah,
the process to get to compliance. You got to hit this target, then this one, then this one, and then we're fully in. You can't just turn it on and be like, okay, everybody figure it out because you got guaranteed contracts you can't break. That
right.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna just not honor contracts all of a sudden? That would send the Players Association to the moon.
Now, I think my most interesting part of the negotiations coming up to me is what are they going to do about the deferred money? Are they going to touch that at all? Um, Nashville Race, love that.
Yeah, they would.
Wouldn't mind that.
The
Yeah.
Orlando Dreamers and the Nashville Rays. I like it.
Um, I don't know if they're going to touch the deferred money. Do you think they're going to put like a cap on that? So maybe not a salary cap, but maybe not allow them to defer a percentage of the
I've
contract or have it count towards the cap, like the entire contract count towards the cap.
Yeah, I have always said that I think the luxury tax is a better tool than a salary cap. Only because for those teams that really want to, they can go spend more. However, they are then going to pay all their competitors for the pleasure of doing so. So like you think of the luxury tax now, like last year the Dodgers cut a check for $100 million to MLB. That gets thrown in the revenue share pool and sent out to all the teams. So the Dodgers just paid everybody in the league for the pleasure of spending more money. If you want to do that, great, do it. But you're going to pay for the pleasure, which means you're ideally going to boost the payroll of everybody else around you. So you're going to close the gap. However, they cannot allow the deferral system to work the way it does. You want to defer contracts? Great. Pay guys in 50 years. I don't care. But if you sign a 10-year, $700 million contract, you need to charge the AAV to the luxury tax,
Right.
not the future value, because you're just going to defer them out farther to make that number smaller. You need to take the AAV and charge that to luxury tax. So Otani this year's his cost is like 28.2 million bucks against luxury tax because he doesn't get paid out for 18 years, including contract term and deferral period. It's 18 years before he gets to the end of this contract. So you're basically calculating all that money back at the time value of money to get to that amount. So annually it's like 28.2.
Right. So
Not
then will we
not 70. You're paying him 70, you're just paying it in the future. You have to
right.
change the way the math is done.
So then will you see a record signing bonus?
It goes
Because
against
signing
last year's
bonus,
it goes against last year's number. So in theory, you're gonna have to go back and pay it then.
what do you mean it goes against last year's number?
So when you take a signing bonus, it gets placed against the past year's payroll because you're paying it today.
Oh, gotcha.
So like the Dodgers are gonna end up paying this year money that's retroactive because of the signing bonus, like Blake Snell.
Gotcha.
It's like there's no like free lunch here. Like you can't avoid the
Right.
luxury tax, but you get to choose where you place it.
Gotcha.
So your signing bonus is, and depending on when it's given out, it's all based on league year. When the league year starts, and that's the year that it goes against.
Gotcha. All right. So it still does count towards the cap. It's just the previous year's cap.
It does, and it gets spread between
Or
the current
threshold,
the
I should
current.
say.
Right.
Sorry, threshold. But
like that's the other part of it too. Like you need to say, okay, like if you're paying money this year, if you owe money this year, it should all go against this year. So like you want to pay Blake Snell half his contract as a signing bonus, then it all gets hit against this year's luxury tax.
yeah,
Like you got to stop letting them play the games of placing the money where I want it. It's going to be what did these guys? What do you owe them from this baseball season? You owe Shohei Ohtani $70 million for this baseball season. That goes against luxury tax. I don't care when you pay it. You could pay it next week, next month, 15, 20, 50 years from now. Doesn't matter. You owe him. You are obligated to pay him that money from this season. When you pay it, I don't care.
right. Yeah.
So if you close those loops, that luxury tax becomes very punitive.
Yes, and I agree. Yeah, this is where I think the MLB doesn't want to go. Just for everything that Harrison said, I think they love the structure that they have in place because it does help the other team. I mean, quote unquote, help the other teams. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a punitive system where it's like you go over the cap, you lose your draft picks. Baseball draft picks, honestly, they don't matter.
They don't. It's not a penalty.
Right. It's not like the NFL where it's like you need your first 4-round draft picks or you're not going to have, talent on the field.
But that's also that's also why a salary cap works in the NFL, because you can count on being able to draft a guy and put him right onto your roster.
Right.
However, you draft a guy in the first, second, third round, like there are slotting fees. You have to pay so much in those areas. And those guys aren't cheap. Your first round picks are not cheap, but they're cheaper than Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I think the revenue, the luxury tax with the penalties, if you fix the deferred money and the signing bonus issue and have it all charged the year it belongs in, and you change that luxury tax calculation and take all the goofy games out of this, I think that the luxury tax is a better model. It helps your lower market teams get more revenue because these big market teams have to pay them, and you can level the playing field a little bit that way.
Yeah. I don't agree. I don't disagree with this point. The SEC is way better than minor league ball right now. The kids coming out of college now, I mean, look at last year. Wyatt Langford, I mean, freaking Paul Scanes, I mean, Dylan Cruz, like just the last few years, the talent coming out of college, I don't disagree with that. And yes, we are with you 1,000% here, Devin. Floor absolutely has to be implemented as well, for sure.
You can't have these teams you can't have 5 teams with less than $100 million worth of payroll. The only way the Players Association goes for any kind of a restructure luxury tax is to show them the same dollars are going to get spent on payroll. If you show them the pie is the same size, you're just changing where the slices are all located, you can sell that. If you're going to actually make the pie smaller where players get less overall money, the Players Association is never going to go for it. The only way to do that is you squeeze the luxury tax, you change the deferred money rules, you change the signing bonus rules, and you make a salary floor as your peace offering to make it all kind of come back to whole. As long as you can show the Players Association that the same number of dollars are available for players, I think you can get them to go for it. But if you're at any point going to suggest there's going to be less overall money going to players, rightfully so, the Players Association is going to say, we're out, not going to do it.
Now, the flip side of that, though, is last week you announced all the teams that had owed money at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of MLB teams that didn't break even last year.
They lost money.
They lost money. And then you're going to come in and be like, hey, buddy, I know you just lost 85 million this season, but your payroll has to be jacked up another 50 million this year.
Yep.
So you're telling these owners that they got to lose another 135 million a year to get up to that threshold. Now, the owners are going to push back on that hard because it's not just one or two that lost money last year. It was a solid handful.
It was like half the league.
Yeah.
Made either very little money or lost money.
So
I mean,
as
hell,
much as
the Yankees were one of the teams that lost money.
yeah, so as much as we're sitting here and telling the owners they need to spend more, they can't. They're not getting the revenue for it. So for the MLB or the MLBPA to be like, yeah, well, we need a salary floor and like you need to spend. Like if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates and you made a profit, yes, you need to spend. Like you're in the lower level of the league. You haven't spent money on a multi-year free agent in since 2016, which is wild. Yeah, you need to spend or sell.
Yep.
Again, can't make them sell, but you can throw the idea in their head and press them.
Yep.
But if you throw in a floor, the owners are going to push back because it's like, hey, look at my last 3 years. I'm all in the red. And by 65, 70 million. Like, so the money's not coming in. I can't spend it to get to the floor where you want me to. So I don't know. This lockout is going to be a painful one.
Yep.
I think we are in for a long one.
And the only way to make the salary floor work is to actually make it punitive, like luxury tax. So, like Uncle Ted's saying here, like if they're under at 10 million bucks, that 10 million bucks has got to go somewhere. And what I would do is if I'm Major League Baseball, I would propose if a team spends less than, say the salary floor is 100 million and they spend 90 million bucks, that team writes a $10 million check to the Players Association, not the MLB to go on a revenue share, but to the Players Association, because that money belongs to the players. That's what you just agreed to. Now the Players Association can build up a fund that can go to paying pensions, health benefits, all those other things, or it can just go into a bonus pool that goes out across the Players Association when the year is over. But if you don't spend so you've got to set it up where the teams are spending $100 million, period. You can either buy players with it, or you can write a check for the difference to the Players Association. And they're just going to give it to all the players. So why wouldn't you go invest in players if you're going to spend the money anyways?
Dude, why aren't you in the front office now? Come on now.
Because it makes sense that they don't want that.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, so Devin, yeah, the Yankees lost like 47 million bucks last year. It was in Forbes. They did a study. I'll put a link in the chat here in a second. But they just did they updated their team valuations and 2024 performances, and it was interesting because you had like half the league making a little money or losing money, and the Yankees. Yeah, I got it right here. The Yankees. It was actually operating loss of 57 million last year.
Yeah. What was the Phillies at?
The Phillies operating profit of 9 million. So they made a little bit of money.
They broke even, let's say.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Astros lost 11 million. The Braves lost 3 million. The Angels made 40 million. The Cardinals made 7 million. Oh my goodness, the Dodgers just walked it off. Ohtani. Puke all over myself.
My God, 7-0.
The Rangers lost $38 million. The Blue Jays lost $60 million. The White Sox lost $41 million. The Athletics lost 23 million. The D-backs lost 33 million. It's pretty widespread. These teams they're having to spend more than they're making just to keep up.
Yeah, so I mean, this is also part of it. It's bad contracts, right? There's bad contracts. But like that's also teams overspending, right? Like not having a good financial guy in your office and being like, "Can we afford this?" Yes, or it's to get the fans off your back, or like there's other reasons.
Yeah, it's teams overspending. It's teams reaching to try to compete. It's teams, it's even like look at the Rays with Wander Franco. Like they signed the big deal,
right?
And that one blew up on him because it turns out he's got a pretty awful past.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Bally's network. That the Minnesota Twins are for sale right now because the Bally's deal screwed them up so bad and they lost so much money in that interim period.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, and I mean that's lack of a better word, a shit ton of money that was lost.
A few bucks.
I mean, quite a bit losing those TV deals. Yeah, it's
and Uncle Ted, I think bad contracts for sure. And there's a comment earlier about Moneyball in here somewhere. Actually, you said it too. I do think the Moneyball approach has changed how these how these teams evaluate talent,
Yes.
and I think it's caused them to make some bad decisions. And I think that as much as we talk about how Juan Soto's a generational talent, he's not worth 51 million bucks a year. He just isn't.
Possibly up to
There's
55 million.
yeah, I mean, there's no baseball player. And again, I put Otani's deal aside because with Otani, you got a baseball player and you got a whole Japanese market that came with it that is ravenous for baseball, spending a fortune on stuff. But you're only getting a baseball player. There's no baseball player that provides $51 million worth of tickets, concessions, merchandise, and performance other than Otani, who brings a whole country with him.
Right.
Juan Soto, like Cohen's never going to make the money back on Juan Soto, but I don't think he cares. He wanted a cornerstone player. He got him.
Yeah.
But there's no financial justification for that contract.
Cohen could have 25 Juan Soto contracts on his team and he wouldn't care. Like he'll still have plenty of money to spend. Like this is monopoly money to him. He doesn't care. He's got more money than he knows what to spend. So
MLB should be begging Mark Cuban to buy the Twins. If anyone can fix the MLB TV deals with Cuban, for all the good Cuban does, the NBA was very happy to see him step back. He is a thorn in their side.
Yeah.
And right or wrong, I think there are issues that Cuban took on that were he died on some hills that were not great choices. He also made the league better because of it. But he also made a fortune on the sale of the Cavs. So good for him.
On the Mavs, yeah.
On the Mavs, sorry, not the Cavs, on the Mavs.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Then they, of course, they flip Luka Doncic, and now people want to run everybody out of town. But anyways, he was the NBA did not love the Mark Cuban experiment, but they're better for it.
Yeah. Yeah, Soto's not a 5-tool guy.
No, he's a 2-tool guy.
Yeah,
average and power. He can't run, he can't throw, he can't catch.
He's really damn good at those 2 tools, but he ain't 5-tool, not even close.
No.
Yeah, he's not worth that 780 million or whatever the hell he ended up getting. Like it's wild. No need for it, really.
I 1000% agree with this comment. I think MLB is very much kind of a country club atmosphere. And the NFL used to be like that too. And then guys like Kraft and Jerry Jones and other guys have come in and kind of turned things around. But I do think MLB needs to go outside of these typical ownership groups and find some new blood, get some new ideas, get some new people in the league. You know, you've seen what the Dodgers have done. That's an investment group. These guys aren't even baseball people. That's an investment group. Those are hedge fund guys, just like Steve Cohen, hedge fund guy, but a big baseball fan. You need to bring in some new thinking, and new owners will do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you put in things like a salary floor and a more punitive luxury tax, you may have owners that rush for the door and throw a for sale sign up.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I know Soto's an OPS machine. I'm not saying that he's not, but is he $780 million worth of an OPS machine?
No.
I don't think so.
He's a generational talent, but he's a top 5 to 10 player right now who's getting paid entirely too much for what he does.
Yeah, Harrison and I did put in a bid on the Twins, but they didn't accept our $25 offer for whatever reason. But we gave it a shot, Uncle Ted. So
we did.
Yeah,
we should crowdsource the financing for a team. Like we should crowdsource the money and like go buy the A's. Well, actually, let's go buy the Rays. Put them in Orlando. I'm happy to go down and spend more time in Florida. We should crowdsource the capital to buy the A's. Like everybody throws in like $20. We have like just like millions of people join us on this journey.
This is a great question. This is a fantastic question.
No, he can't. I mean, he's even said it himself. They are right now maxed out. They can't go any further than they've gone. That's why they don't have pitching. If they could have gone further, they would have gone out and gotten Corbin Burns or somebody like that. But Cohen said it himself, like he shut the money faucet off. He shut it off before Alonso was signed. And then that one kind of fell into his lap. But they're done. They can't go beyond where they're at.
Yeah.
let's let's do let's
Um,
do a dad bod calendar and see if
yes,
we can get the money.
all in.
Oh,
I'll chip in 100. All right, we got something going
all
here.
right. Between the three of us, we got $150. Let's do it.
Oh, I didn't say I was putting 25 in.
Oh, I'll spot you. I got the 50 covered. You can just ride along.
I got 25 cents. That's about
Perfect.
it.
You
Okay.
can pay the tolls so we can drive to New York to make our offer.
Dude, what toll booth are you going that's only worth 25 cents now? Goodness
Well, I figured
gracious.
you could spring for the other few bucks along the way too, but
Phillies will get Vladdy. That would be an interesting
but
fit.
I mean, and Harper said he'd go back to the outfield. I just don't know if they want to put him back in the outfield.
I
And
mean, if
that
Vladdy
payroll is
Guerrero's coming into your clubhouse, I'm moving to the outfield as well, though.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Phillies are already in the spot where like that payroll is huge. They are number was it 3? Spend a lot of money. I don't know how much more they can go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, if Bryce Harper runs that team, right? If he wants somebody, I'm sure they would overspend for it. Um, if he wants Vladdy, I'm sure Phillies will be in on him.
Yeah, so
And
the Phillies last year made $9 million, profited 9 million. It's going to cost you like 40 to get Vladdy. I don't. So they'd have to go $30 million in the hole, unless they can find $30 million worth of savings somewhere. Which
I'm not
who
sure if
knows?
he doesn't reach an extension with the Blue Jays because last report said that they weren't very far off, right?
They've made another offer to him. They are closer. Um, I think there's a belief that they'll find a way to get something done. But Vladdy's also been adamant that I'm not just going to sign because I'm here. Like it's my number or it's nothing.
Yeah. Real Muto and Schwarber off the books this season. So that would help. 1,000% that would
Well, the
help.
two of those guys falling off the books offset it, but you also have to replace them. It's hard.
Right.
It's hard to replace. I mean, Schwarber you can replace, but although I'm not convinced he goes anywhere. But even if Schwarber does go, maybe Vladdy becomes your DH, or maybe Harper becomes your DH to rest him from the outfield. But it's hard to replace Realmuto because catches like that are not common.
Yeah. So I said this too. I think I would like to have Vladdy stay in Toronto. And we talked about, possible like cities in Canada being expansion places. We've talked about Vancouver, possibly Montreal getting a team back. And if you have superstars now leaving Canada, I don't know if the MLB would be apt to put another team there. So I would like to see him there. I would like to see Toronto relevant again. On paper, that team looks ridiculous. I don't understand why they can't get over the hump. I mean, the top of their lineup is good. Their pitching should be better than it is. I don't know what Toronto needs to do. I really don't. Unless they move to the Central, that might be their only shot. But AL East is tough. But yeah, JT's offense has definitely regressed in the last couple of years. He was the best offensive catcher there for a while. And he definitely lost it at the plate a little bit. And that's what it is. A lot of players have come out and said this is paying the income taxes in two different countries is the tough part.
Hey,
But I
pay
mean,
income taxes. You need passports to get back and forth. You got to potentially move your family to a French Canadian speaking province.
yeah,
You've got a metric system, different currency, like got a whole different. It's a different country, and it operates as such.
yeah. But
How about now?
oh, gotcha. You're
That was
back.
weird. It was just all of a sudden cut out on me.
Yeah,
I was just saying, the passports to get back and forth. It's a different currency. It's French Canadian speaking province. It's a different world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Schwarber would be a big loss. Like, talk about an OBP machine and a guy at the top of the lineup that gets you 40, 45 home runs a year. I mean, it's
He may
crazy.
only
Yeah,
hit a $197, but an
197
effective.
with 40 and 100 is
Yeah, it's an
wild.
effective 197.
My God, it's crazy. But yeah.
Well,
I don't know about Cook. I wouldn't say Cook. He's got a
but
hit, I
but
guess.
at the same time, like he absolutely roped a double on a slider, middle of the plate, bottom third. But why would you throw that guy a slider right now when he can't catch up to a fastball? Like, you're just speeding his bat up and helping him out.
Yeah. I
Makes
don't
no sense to
understand it.
me.
I don't understand it. And we're Sox fans. Like,
I
that's
know.
the
I'm
it's
like, why are you throwing this guy a slider? What are you doing?
yeah. It's in Texas, those were painful at bats. Because like they were painful at bats because like it wasn't his strike zone knowledge. He swung at good pitches.
It did.
He didn't chase.
He just couldn't
He
hit
was
him.
just way behind them. It was wild.
Yes, John, I'm with you. We need to send the Expos back to Montreal.
Yeah.
Expansion to Montreal. We're gonna light the Expos back up. New ballpark, not old crappy Olympic Stadium. New ballpark, fresh start. We got to bring the old uniforms back though too.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss the Expos, man, for sure.
Have Vladdy lead the ownership group. Then he'd be able to recruit his son to come over and play.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
Yeah, he mean Devers, for all intents and purposes, missed the entire spring.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't dealing with the injuries and the fact he wasn't ready, he was just getting pummeled by the media for being selfish. So it was not a good spring for him all around.
No, a lot of baseball is mental, and you get into a slump. It's hard to get yourself out, and Devers is in a hole. He's gonna have to try to dig himself out. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully today was the start of that.
I mean, you can't start a trend without the first one, so
Right.
at least head in the right direction.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, sounds like the dog needs some attention.
For sure. Hold on. I'm just gonna let him in real quick. Hold on.
This is totally true. I was always surprised, Uncle Ted, that Michael Jordan, with his ties to Chicago and his ties to baseball, never got involved. Like, at one point, the Cubs had sold off some ownership interests and some minority owners got involved. He passed on that. Same with the White Sox. I really thought we'd see Michael Jordan in baseball because he would be a huge draw. Yeah, and I still accidentally call them the Indians. I can't get it out of my head completely. I still call them the Indians from time to time. I'm okay with that. I don't like the Guardians. To me, they'll always be the Indians.
They're still the Oakland A's to me. I say that
I know,
like 18 times a show.
Yeah, at least several times a week.
Yeah. It's hard. You call a team something for so long, and then all of a sudden it's just switched. It's hard to get it out.
Cleveland Indians forever, and now it's like, oh no, we're going to call them the Guardians. And honestly, like the tribes in that area are like, no, let's make them the Indians again. Like, it brought awareness to us.
Yeah.
Like, don't take it away. Chief Wahoo was, a legend.
Yeah. Yep.
And now it's not the same watching Major League knowing they're not the Indians anymore.
Right.
I don't want to see Ricky Vaughn come in as a Guardian.
Yeah, it's not the same ring to it.
The Wild Thing. Another Bob Uecker classic.
Yeah. So good.
Just a bit outside. And he's out by an eyelash at third.
Try for the corner and missed.
Yeah, and the best part about that is Bob Uecker ad-libbed so many of those. He improv so many of those lines. Like, they're just like, hey, just riff, come up with some good ones.
Yeah.
And of course he did, because he's friggin' Bob Uecker.
Ball 4. Ball 8.
Ball 12.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah. All right. Anything else from anybody in the chat before we head out for the evening? Oh, a long one. It's been a good one.
So the Dodgers are now 8-0 and the Braves are now 0-7.
Absolutely brutal.
If you are a Braves fan, like, are you in panic mode?
You lost your first 8 games. Yeah.
And you should have won tonight and completely just coughed it up.
Yeah, that's not good. I don't know. It gives you worry.
Sure does.
You had a 5-0 lead. I know it was early. I know you're facing the Dodgers, but if you can't protect a 5-run lead, no matter what, like that's a huge red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't forget in all this, the Padres are also 7-0 and have made the Guardians, Indians, look foolish.
Yeah. Um. Oh yeah. The catcher behind the plate, Drake Baldwin, is the new rookie catcher. Can't control the run game at all.
Yeah.
Listen, I might be out of my league saying this. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Go with it.
I don't think any catcher in the league can really control the run game anymore. It's so much in favor of the base runners that if you don't have a pitching staff that can't hold runners on or get to the plate quickly, catchers have zero shot. Right? I mean, these guys are stealing the bases on the pitchers now. They're not stealing them on the catchers. So, I don't know. But
Well, the pitch clock has taken a lot of I would say the strategy out,
yeah.
and now it's just a matter of timing it up and sinking it. But
Yeah, it's hard for catchers to, unless you're Yadier Molina, right? But even then, I think he would struggle in this new kind of format now anyways.
yeah,
He
I think
would
if
he
you put Pudge Rodriguez and you put Yadier Molina in today's pitch clock game, like, they're not as effective as they were.
Yeah, I mean, will they still be effective? Yeah, they'll still throw guys out.
It'd still be the
But
best in the league, but they wouldn't be as good as they were.
right. Yeah. And Uncle Ted, another great point. Agree fully. Why whip pitchers matter more than ever. 1,000%. If the pitchers don't give up the base runners, you don't have to worry about the run game, right? Absolutely.
Well, and you're also going to see there's also a premium now on um, the slide step. Like, you're seeing more guys go out to a slide step to be quicker to the plate because these
Y-
guys have these big leg kicks and are just so much slower. Even from the stretch, you see guys still go with the leg kick. Those guys are so easy to steal on now because you can just time them.
Yeah, you have to go to a slide step. I mean, all these guys, I mean, look around the league. Ellie, O'Neill Cruz, Bobby Witt, all these guys can fly now. All of them.
Yeah, Xavier
And
Edwards, Esteury
right.
Ruiz, like, so many guys are so fast.
Those guys, you can just be like, they're on first base. Corbin Carroll. Okay, they're on first base. They're going to be on third and 2 pitches. Like, I get it. But it's the guys that have like the quote unquote 60 and 65 overall speed, right? Those guys are getting stolen bases now because pitchers aren't doing the slide step. They're taking too long to get to home plate. You got to do something. And you can't really vary your holds. You can't check on them,
You don't have
right?
time. Yeah, you've
Yeah,
still got a clock ticking.
right. So it's
Gone to the days of being able to change a guy's timing by quick pitching or by slowing down completely.
right. I
You
mean, there was times as a pitcher that I would come to a set and I would literally just stay there until the batter called time.
Yep.
You can't do that. It's an
Can't.
automatic ball.
Nope, time will expire.
Yep.
It
But
is
yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
So go back up here. So Devin was asking about when we normally come on. So we're normally Sundays and Thursdays. I'm not around tomorrow night, so we're doing it tonight this week. But we also popped on Monday this week, and we're just kind of talking baseball, playing the show. As the season has now kind of hit full stride, we'll pop on randomly from time to time and just hang out for an hour or two, talk baseball, maybe play some MLB the Show, and just hang out. We love this, like, open forum.
Yeah.
conversational type setup. So when we're just like watching games, we'll just pop on and chit chat and hopefully hang out with all of you.
Yeah, Sundays are our big show, I guess we call it, because we do like trivia. We have all this, the news from the week, go over like the big stories, headlines. I mean, we go over the headlines and stuff midweek too, if there's stuff. So like obviously we talked about Profar, all of that stuff.
Yep.
Um, so we do that too midweek as well. And we pick Sunday and Thursdays because there's not many games on those 2 days usually. Like there's 3 games tomorrow. So like we're like, okay, there's no baseball Thursday nights. Let's do a stream Thursday night. But things come up in life where we're not be able to. But yeah, we've been doing this for a while, man. I mean, we're 210 episodes we've been doing this.
Yeah, been around.
Pretty crazy. So yeah, we just love it. And you guys have been incredible in the chat tonight. Like this has been awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, this is why we do it. We
great.
love talking baseball with everybody here. So it's amazing.
Yeah, as much as we can, we'll turn shows into just this, where it's like, all right, let's jump in the chat. Let's just talk baseball, because we are baseball fans, and so this is by fans for fans. It's our perspective. We'd love to debate topics. We love to, go off on tangents, as you saw tonight. I mean, yeah. Uncle Ted's going to send us down a rabbit hole here with. We've been arguing this for a while. Quality starts versus wins.
1,000%.
Yeah. We've been arguing this for a while, that wins are a team stat, quality starts are a pitcher stat. It's kind of hard to get measured on a stat that you can't control. Look at Felix Hernandez and how many wins he should have had that he didn't get.
Yep. Yeah. And I think eventually you will see, because we're not going to see a 300 game winner anymore, right? We're just not.
I don't think
300 game winners are done. So you look over the history of baseball, Cy Young, 511. And it's just trickled down from there, right? Adam Wainwright, say what you say, borderline Hall of Famer, 200 career wins. That's it. Right? I mean, you're just not going to see the win totals anymore. Pitchers go 5. Maybe starting pitchers go 5. It's almost to the point where you're going to see relief pitchers racking up more career wins than your starters are, which is crazy to think about. But that's just how it is. A pitcher can come in the game, not even throw a single pitch, and get a win.
Mm-hmm.
That starters have to go 5, they don't go 5.
Did the Oakland A's guy do that last year, or was that the year before that?
Yeah, it was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, it was Newcomb. Now he's with the Red Sox.
Oh, that's right. It was Newcomb. I forgot about that.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I think quality start. I mean, you look at Framber Valdez, like say what you want about the Astros, but Framber Valdez, the last 4 years, I mean, he had a string of 27 quality starts in a row. I mean, the dude just goes out and just pounds the baseball into the ground every start. No one can hit him because they just pound it into the dirt. And that's more valuable than going out and giving up 8 runs in 5 innings, but your team scored 12 and you get the win. Like that doesn't tell me anything. Right. Oh yeah, Nick, you got the win today. Yeah, I gave up 8 runs, but my offense exploded, so that's fine. Yeah, I won the ball game, but no. Hunter Green to win the NL Cy Young.
Good choice.
Yeah,
I mean, Zach Wheeler is another good choice. He is a workhorse. And that's the thing. Like, he's in the top 3 Cy Young conversation. It seems like every year because of that. He is a absolute workhorse.
Right. And you still do have those guys. I'm not saying they're non-existent, right? I mean, baseball has those guys still, but they're quickly fading away. And it's unfortunate because I do like seeing the complete game. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi, 99 pitches in 9 innings, complete game. The first Greg Maddux of the year, they're calling it. They're actually calling it the Maddux. I mean, you don't see that anymore. You don't see guys with a 99 pitch count completing a game.
Not anymore, you don't.
No. But, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you mentioned Kokanowitz, Uncle Ted. He's off to a good start. And unfortunately, he's losing most of his starts because he's in Anaheim. But his number, I was looking up his numbers because we saw a little bit of him last year, and he was pretty good. But he's he had another good start this year. So interesting. Only 24 years old too. So long way to go here.
That Angels team, man. I thought they would have been a little bit better, and unfortunately, they're not.
I mean, I think they are. I think they are kind of who we thought they were. I mean, they're 4-2 right now. They've beaten up on some weaker teams. I mean, there's good and bad with them. I think it's one of those where there's gonna be nights you want to bang your head against the wall because it doesn't make any sense why they're so bad. There's gonna be nights they beat teams you're like, oh wow, I never saw that coming. I just think they're gonna be a roller coaster ride every night. It's gonna be somebody different, and you're never gonna know what you're gonna get. I mean, Anderson got destroyed today.
Yeah, but I mean, they've also played who? They've played the Cardinals and the White Sox to start the season.
Yes,
So not exactly, not even a mid-tier teams, I would say.
those are put some respect on the Cardinals' name. That's the first place team right now, Nick.
Get off it.
Until next week, when
Yeah,
fall back,
and
they fall back to where they belong.
yeah, and what, the Marlins are in first place too? Like, get off. No, get out.
I mean, yeah, that's what we're looking at right now.
But yeah, we
I
talked
just,
about this too, Devin. This one hurts. This was
your
in our slideshow earlier. Was
your current actually, what's funny, the AL Central, everybody's tied for first at 2-4. So they're really killing it. They're really killing it in the Central. The White Sox are technically in first in the AL Central. So your division leaders right now: the Blue Jays at 5-2, the White Sox at 2-4, the Rangers at 5-2, the Phillies at 4-1, the Cardinals at 4-2, and the Dodgers at 8-0.
dang crazy.
And you still have one winless team in baseball, and that is the Atlanta Braves.
That's wild. So Braves winless, Dodgers the only undefeated team.
Oh no, Padres too. Padres.
Oh, Padres. Right.
Yep.
Sorry. Yep. Dang. What is the Dodgers' upcoming series? Who do they have next?
They go out on the road. Oh no, they're home against the Phillies. They have tomorrow off, and then they have the Phillies for 3, the Nationals for 3, and then they're on the road against the Cubs and the Rockies. So the Phillies, that should be a good matchup. I mean, the Dodgers have had a pretty tough schedule to start the season. They're doing fine.
Yeah. I said this too. I think the Braves starting with on the road on the West Coast with the Padres, with the Dodgers to start. No Acuna, no Strider. You were so banged up last year. Guys are still trying to come back, find their stride. I think they'll be okay. But it's not the start you're looking for. That's for sure. But Phillies, I think.
Yeah. They get the Phillies come in on Friday for 3 games.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. Did I say they're at the Phillies? Oh.
The Dodgers are at the Phillies?
Dodgers at Phillies. They go out to the Phillies.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So
yeah, I missed it. I love Ron Washington's his defensive videos and the way he'd be on the field with guys like, feel it. This is how you should feel. And he's such a good coach.
Yeah.
Such a good coach.
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year for sure.
The Braves will be fine. Tough start on the road. They're not 100%. I mean, all those things are true, but they've really been a huge disappointment to start the year. They, as we saw tonight, like you get other opportunities to put the team away, you can't do it. Bases loaded, 1 out, you manage nothing. Riley and Olsen bring you nothing on that. Like they got problems. They definitely have problems.
Yeah, that takes the wind out of your sail too, right?
Real fast.
First 2 innings, you come up, you just sock the Dodgers in the mouth, and then you lay an egg, right? And then you just see them trickling back and trickling back and trickling back, and then Ohtani sticks the dagger right in your heart and twists it. I know it's early, but that's a tough loss. That's
Yeah,
a real tough loss.
It doesn't suck any less. It's still terrible.
Yeah. But man. Yeah, Phillies Dodgers would be an incredible ball game to watch at Citizens Bank for sure.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go to Citizens last summer. It was, oh my God, it was a blast. Loved it. Yeah, we've talked about this too, Devin. And we also think that they're going to kind of hold him back. This is his second ACL tear. You're not going to see him steal 70 bases anymore. There's no way. Now, will Acuna listen? I don't know. That's also something to be, thought of. I don't know. Is he still going to provide pop at the plate? Yeah, absolutely. The dude rakes. I just don't think you'll see him as aggressive on the base path as you have previously. But, yeah. Yeah, Ron Washington as an infield coach, fielding coach, like he's been around some incredible ball players. I mean, the dude's been around the league forever. He's responsible for a lot of those guys and how good they've become.
Yeah, the only guy better coaching defensively than Tom Amansky is Ron Washington.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. But all right. Yeah, it's about that time. It's
coming up on midnight here on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's wild. It's about 5 hours past my bedtime.
Oh, stop.
I know. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'll go to bed in another hour. So
I'll say it'll be an hour before I go to bed.
Yeah. All right. Everybody in the chat, again, thanks. Like, this was absolutely awesome. This is why we do this. You guys were incredible. We will be back on Sunday night, kind of go over the weekend series, any news from the week, see if anybody else gets suspended for PEDs, all of that on Sunday. And we'll be on Rounding Third Boston at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll have Rounding Third Baseball Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. So we will see y'all then. Come back again. Thanks for an incredible night. This was awesome. So, and thank you, Uncle Ted. Really appreciate that. But yeah, once again, we tried to say goodbye about 20 minutes ago, then we got off again.
We go down to the rabbit hole. It's fine.
Yeah. But all right, we'll see you guys on Sunday.
See ya.